And we are live once again. All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and post our link in the chat. Please update. Oh, come on. There it is. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, chat is working. Hello, Dina. Okay. Okay, we are back, and Hector's here too. Okay, good. So, go ahead and start this.
We're just gonna start over.
Yeah. So,
Take two.
Yeah, this is our second attempt at doing this. We didn't really get we didn't really get too far into it the first time. I don't really want to edit these things together, so we're just gonna make this the full official stream. We're just gonna kind of speed through the one that we just did, since we didn't even really get through talking about the first match.
It's offensive to men there, Jared, to call us kings.
Doesn't matter what you say, Jared. It's offensive. Okay, here we go. All right, on to our match results from week 3.
We'll do it quickly for the peeps at home.
Yes. So, okay, first one, we kind of already talked about it a little bit. We'll just hit the main points again. The Delibirds led with Luxray. That's fine. They led with Archeops. What the fuck is that about? Is that even a Pokemon? Both of them went down pretty quick. Sylveon was just spreading out a lot of damage with the Hyper Voice. They did manage to kill the Pikachu in the process. Both of the Archeops and Luxray went down, and then they got in this really cool combination with the Assault Vest Registeel, which you see on your screen here. It's probably my favorite Pokemon of the week, which is why I decided to put it up here. So they got in that Registeel and Virizion combination. The Registeel is Assault Vest with Body Press, that 150 base defense. Its offenses are a little bit lacking, but the Virizion had coaching to boost the damage of all of its offense, all of its regular attacks, and the Body Press, which is really cool. The boosting of the attack and the coverage it had helps with its lackluster attack stat. It's only base 75, not great. But then the defense boosting also pairs really nice with the AV. And the clear body just means that none of its stats can be lowered. I love this thing. I love the Assault Vest Registeel with all this coverage, with Body Press next to the coaching. It's awesome. Okay, so the Registeel is able to do quite a bit of damage. It kills the Sylveon with an Iron Head. It maxes. It kills the Garchomp with a Max Hailstorm. Does a lot of damage to the Zapdos with another Max Hailstorm. It does unfortunately go down. I think yeah, we know he never used the Body Press. That doesn't matter. It's still cool. That's the point. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's a really cool set. I don't care that he didn't use it. Like, if it doesn't make sense to use it, then you don't use it. I like the way that they prepped this thing. That's what I'm saying.
AV, coaching, get the body press damage up, plus your offensive attacks up.
Yeah.
The great amount of coverage that it has. And then you're going to Dynamax it to double its HP. It works out really well.
It just all comes together. I love the set. I love the combination. It's great. So, did a lot of damage. I think that, and then of course there was the end game between the Zapdos versus the Comfy Moltres. There was of course a Politoed behind the Zapdos, but let's be real. That was the Politoed wasn't doing anything by itself. That was Zapdos versus Comfy Moltres. So. Yeah. What was I going to say next? Oh, yeah. So the only weird thing was in the late game. I think the Delibirds played a little bit strangely with their Comfy. I think if they were a little bit more willing to click that Floral Healing, I think that would have been a safer option in a couple of different spots. Instead of protecting the Comfy when the Registeel max, I think it would have been a good idea to heal up there, because it had taken a little bit of damage already, and you might have been able to survive another turn with the Regi. And in front of the Garchomp Zapdos, I don't think it was I don't think the Comfy was threatened all that much. And then the last turn, when you guys were trying to go for the KO on Zapdos with the Draining Kiss, I wasn't even sure that was going to KO.
I didn't think it was going to kill.
That was kind of a dangerous situation, and Moltres has a good enough special defense stat that I think if you just healed the Moltres and went straight for the Fiery Wrath, which of course you did click Fiery Wrath, I just think that healing would have been much safer. Because if you did not KO the Moltres, or if you did not KO the Zapdos and then the Zapdos just outsped and went for Thunderbolt on the Moltres, with the HP that it was at, I think it might have gone down. But at full HP, it's probably living because Moltres is fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they obviously pulled it out. The Draining Kiss got the KO, and that was good. I just think that the Dom, it's kind of hard to understand like what specific parts you're referring to because there's kind of a delay.
If you're talking about the time where they had to go for the Garchomp instead, I disagree because your guys' Earthquakes were doing like 20% to it. You guys weren't doing a lot of damage. But the point is that the Registeel rolled you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, that was excellent. But yeah, just to finish that one off, I think that if they had played a little bit different with the Comfy, it would have been a little bit. The end game would have been less precarious than it needed to be. They could have played a little safer if they just healed in front of a couple of different points. So, but they still won. They got that KO on Zapdos with the Draining Kiss. Good shit. Good play. I like this showing from the Delibirds. Yeah, good stuff, guys.
You know what? Actually, I didn't watch the Seniors and Potatoes because I didn't see that their match got uploaded.
Oh, they did just upload that today.
I was busy all day with work.
Okay, so I
caught a little bit of it live.
They streamed it?
Or maybe not. No,
I don't think they
streamed it. I'm thinking of
that was the Mats
Doesn't Click and the Mats. Yeah.
Okay. So this one, we could pull it up, I guess. I don't really remember it that well. Really, I think it was just an early Metagross sweep, and then the Corviknight was able to come out after Metagross was just blowing shit up, and was able to take it down with a couple of body presses. In the early game, they had Corviknight out, and they switched whatever was next to it. They switched into Marowak, because I think they were trying to beta max Lightning onto the Corviknight, but it was the Dracozolt. They had Dracozolt out, they switched it into Marowak, but the Max Quake into the Dracozolt Marowak slot was just way safer, and they decided to go for that. They already had their weakness policy up. They did the self-proc weakness policy stuff with Shadow Sneak Dusknoir, and they also set up Trick Room, because they don't. Even though Metagross is kind of a mid-speed Pokemon, it does well in Trick Room against faster teams, like the Seniors. Yeah. So that was a good call by them. And they already had their weakness policy up, so the +2 Max Quake just KO'd the Marowak on Switch and just got the one shot on it. So I think that was kind of their only. It was the only play that I really saw for them to slow down the Metagross. And I think it was a valiant effort, but the Potatoes just played better on that turn in particular, and they got the Metagross sweep going. There was a Dynamax Porygon Z in the late game. It was by itself because the side next to it had already gone down, but. It did get paralyzed, which was a little bit weird. I think it was going to be able to pick up... it should have been able to pick up a KO on every Dynamax turn, but it got paralyzed, and everything was just outspeeding it after that. And I don't know... I don't remember exactly what the Potatoes had left, so I don't know if the paralysis mattered. I don't know if they would have been able to just pull it out by blowing everything up with the Porygon. But it is possible. I know that... Oh, Zach is here. Okay, he says basically, Latias got the paralysis on Porygon Z with a Thunderbolt, just a straight Thunderbolt. So, which led to Darmanitan not being able to sweep.
That makes sense.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So yeah, I mean, in order to really say one way or another whether that paralysis mattered, I would have to go back and watch the match again. It seemed pretty devastating. I think that's the one thing that prevented you guys from having a chance. You at least had a chance if that didn't happen. So unfortunate, but I still like the showing from the Potatoes, especially in the early and mid game.
These are two good teams that had to go against each other early in the year. So one team has to win, unfortunately, and came out to be the Potatoes. And a lot of the times when you have good teams like that, usually one or two things is really what decides it.
Yeah, for sure. I think we picked the Potatoes in our pick'ems last week, but we also acknowledge that this one was it was a match that could have gone either way.
Yeah.
This one, Jared deserves an ass whooping from me, so I got to take this one, even though I've been talking a lot.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
Okay.
First off, Jared never does anything to deserve any of it.
No, of course not.
No,
of course,
100% innocent.
We're in the wrong every time. Yeah. Sierra, we can do a recount, but nothing's changing. So this whole thing is rigged. Don't even try.
We rig it from the start, including our first two losses at the start of the year. We did that to throw everybody off.
All right, so Raiders versus Wailords.
We have to also acknowledge Ben's
do we have
striking
to?
criticism of us.
You go ahead and take that one.
I mean, that's your son. He said,
yeah, I talked to him enough.
There's the scammers at it again. How dare they boost their differential in order to justify their rankings and power rankings? Really? A buy? At least try harder next time. I demand a recount. Yeah. I mean, you're right. We were the ones that decided to put us up against the two scrub teams, the Regigeezers and the SoCal Drillers. I have no idea how they've won all their games so far. It's not like we gave them high grades in our draft grade, but they pulled it out despite their low B pluses that we gave them.
Yeah, they really surprised us.
Yeah. And then the bye week, we handled that one nice and good there.
Yeah, good for us. we moved up in the power rankings for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Raiders versus the Wailords. The Wailords, I believe they said in chat they were pretty confident about going up against mostly everything except for the Colossal, and they ended up leading Trick Room, which was great. They had the Levitate, Akaberry, Bronzong, fantastic, and then they led with the Spider, which probably would not have gone down to a max Vocalith through Protect, but God, it's just doing so much damage even after the Protect. But they didn't actually get the lead that they were expecting. They didn't get the Colossal lead. Colossal didn't show up at all.
Yeah, the physical Dragonite, I think, because if you can protect against the Vocalith, you're probably not gaining as much damage done onto the Araquanid. So it probably gives you an opportunity to max and still do some decent stuff to it. But the Dragonite was just the fact that it was physical, it did 75% or 70% through the Protect, just kind of put a wrench in it. But
yeah, I think that the weakness policy Dragonite combination is a good one to go for if if your opponents are not leading redirection or fake out. Fair enough. It's a strong option. And it did do a lot of damage to that Spider through Protect. It was just it couldn't really handle the Trick Room mode that the Wailords went for, and then I think I saw some mistakes from the Raiders that were kind of similar to their mistakes last week. They were playing a little bit more defensive when they really should have been getting damage off. Yeah. The turn 2 Max Guard on the Dragonite just didn't really make much sense to me. It wasn't really threatened all that much. I mean, even though the Araquanid was at +2 and it had Ice Beam, we saw how much Ice Beam did to it the following turn. It was only 50% to the Dynamax Dragonite. And so
I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's obviously they're probably min speed, so no negative nature on the actual special attack stat, but its special attack is so low, even with weakness policy it being boosted.
Yeah, I mean
×4, not stab. But I was still Man, that did nothing.
Yeah, it just goes to show how shitty Araquanid is when it's not using water attacks.
Yeah.
I mean, and Ice Beam is special. Its physical attack
Yeah,
is the
it's
one it
physical,
wants to
yeah.
use. Unfortunately, it doesn't get like Ice Fang or definitely no Icicle Crash or anything like that. So, yeah, the Ice Beam wasn't really doing much damage, and
Did enough.
yeah, but still, the turn 2 max guard was just,
Yeah.
it was a little bit weird because, like, yeah, you did go for max airstream. You're fast in Trick Room. That's not great. A lot of the time, you do want to play defensive in that kind of situation. But the Dragonite's bulky, man.
Yeah.
And that's your Dynamax. Like, I don't think there was nothing threatening a KO on the Dragonite that turn. I think you needed to make use of your Dynamax and go for more damage. I don't know if that would have saved the game because that was so early in the game. Something different happening would have shifted the momentum of 80% of the game. So it's hard to say whether that was actually enough to save it for you guys.
Also, I don't know if this was a read. We have the Wailords in here, so they can maybe say. But they switched out the Inteleon into Togekiss, like, right that turn, like that, that, and they went for the Gyro Ball into that slot, and were able to pick up some decent damage onto that.
I think it was probably just the most amount of damage that they were going to get, even resisted, because Inteleon's so fast.
It's still fast, plus it's at +1. Because didn't it Ice Shard to get the weakness policy off?
What was at +1?
The +1 speed, so it's fast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was. I mean, even without that, I'm sure the Gyro Ball's max base power against Inteleon anyway. But yeah, I think that was just the most amount of damage it was going to do to Inteleon.
They had like Power Swap on it, Trick Room.
Yeah, the Power Swap. They had Rock Tomb for the self proc weakness policy on the Spider. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was doing more damage than a neutral Rock Tomb. So yeah, I think that makes sense. But the Togekiss was another thing that like it did a little bit more this time. Like last week, it kind of just sat there and went for Follow Me, and then went down, and the redirection wasn't really worth it. I'd say the same thing of this battle to an extent. It did something. At least it killed the Spider, but it just that's your S tier, man. And Togekiss is so good. I just think it's being really underutilized these last two games.
It's tough because it's their only redirector, and I feel their team does need redirection.
Yeah, it definitely really wants that redirection, but
and the Inteleon was likely to swap. Okay, so yeah, more or less. So more or less what you said.
Right.
It's gonna give good consistent damage onto the Inteleon, the Gyro, even if it's resisted, and then most likely the Togekiss is gonna probably want to come in because it's gonna want to kind of mitigate the Trick Room turns a little. Mm-hmm. So it's just honestly just a good call.
Yeah, I mean it's the optimal play whether Inteleon stays in or not. So. That's fine. Excuse me. Yeah, I think there was a little bit too much defensive play, and then the Flygon was able to come in Trick Room, got a nice Dragon Dance off the last turn of Trick Room. There wasn't really a whole lot of offensive momentum going for the Raiders because they kind of wasted a turn of their max, and they were in Trick Room. They ended up switching the Dragonite out, so they lost their boosts, and which it wasn't necessarily such a bad thing to switch it out, but
it just stopped their offensive output.
Right. Yeah. So and then they switched in the Kling Klang, which wasn't really doing anything, and then coming out of Trick Room, the Flygon got a Dragon Dance off and just went for the Dynamax and just killed the Inteleon. It killed the Berserker. I think it killed the Kling Klang too. Yeah. It was able to just sweep the rest of the game. They couldn't really get much going for them. They couldn't get a foothold like in any part of the game really. And I think that maybe when the Inteleon got hit with the Max Quake, it went for an Ice Shard onto the Flygon. You were Focus Sash, so why no Ice Beam? I feel like maybe you didn't have Ice Beam, but if not, why not? Because you're going up against Flygon.
Yeah.
You have the Sash to live a max move. If you went for an Ice Beam, maybe you had a chance. Maybe there was a chance since you did get that shift gear up. Maybe an Ice Beam and a +1 gear grind would have been able to take out the Flygon. I don't know. Maybe not. They had opportunities to at least get back in the game, and just they didn't take any of them. So
and then the knee Lego came in.
Yeah, and then Nihilego,
and that thing just started going.
the Nihilego and the Flygon just cleaned up.
Yeah.
So that was that. Pretty dominant showing from the Wailords here.
Yeah, good for them. And then after this, we have the Cheek Drillers and the Mudkips. Man, just a good showing, I feel, overall from the Cheek Drillers, just in general.
1 second. Jared says he wanted to run Snarl or Mist for Snarl and Incineroar. Don't steal our text, bro. It's not cool.
Yeah, that's what we ran in top 4 last season, and we never clicked it, but
it was there.
It was there. Now they saw Aaron Zangief go against him, and they were like, "Oh, Miss, that's actually a pretty good tech. We've been knowing." And Dino had also mentioned that Togepi was in D tier. Yeah, it's not in D tier anymore. It's in C tier.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Redirection should never be below C tier. Yeah. That was dumb.
So it was a no-brainer for them to pick it up at D tier because it was just like, oh, cool, decent redirection in the D tier.
Yeah, it was
okay,
clearly the best D tier. Like,
but anyway, Cheek Drillers versus the Mudkips here. Yeah. Mudkips just not having an amazing season this, as we had seen last season. They obviously made it to the finals. Not only did they make it to the finals, I think it's worth it to say that they dominated their division, which was also a very tough division with Doesn't Click, who also had like a very, very good draft. The Ryan and Fiona are very good players. And then to still like come out and be at the top of the differential, like they absolutely dominated. They had everything. And they made it to finals. And
to be fair, they never actually beat Ryan and Fiona.
No, they didn't. Yes. So let's be clear. They did not beat them when they played against them. But they beat the rest of the division in the round robin format that we're in better than Doesn't Click did. Mm-hmm. And Doesn't Click, man, they're always a good team a tough team to have to go up against no matter what.
Yeah.
But this season we're just not seeing that from them. Also, it seems like a complete turnaround, too, because last season we felt the Cheek Drillers were a little bit disappointing. They were before the LA New Wave. Now the Cheek Drillers are, like, really, kind of taking their stride a little bit. But what ended up happening, essentially, was it was an Arcanine Duraludon lead coming out from the Cheek Drillers against, like, I believe it was a Latios and
Scrafty,
yeah. And right away... I believe the way Shannon and Ferret said this, and it's kind of tough because I don't believe they're in here, that they said that they were afraid that the Duraludon was going to go for like a Life Orb Max Wormwind into the Latios slot, and it wasn't going to be, they weren't going to be able to KO it back. And because of that, they were like, well, we have to Dynamax so that way we for sure can live, which I honestly kind of makes sense now why they brought, that's not to go off too much, but they had weakness policy last year. And it was odd to me that was not your primary plan to like bring that and Dynamax that and use that. But if you're put into a spot where you're like, oh yeah, it might just KO non-Dynamax Latios and we might lose it here if we just don't max. So they go for the Max Wormwind, and the Drillers switch out the Duraludon into the Mimikyu.
Yeah, that's rough.
And
that's rough.
It really, really just threw them off, because then, of course, they were able to go, get Snarls off. I believe the Arcanine actually switched down to something else, I believe. No, it stayed in. But it got Max Wormwind and was able to bring the Mimikyu down a little bit, and was able to take a decent hit from a play rough. The Latios was. Mm-hmm. But then something interesting happened, and I don't know how this happened exactly. It's still kind of hard to wrap my brain around, like, the positioning that they had. But they got rid of the Latios, and then Surfetch just came in.
Well, no. I want to clarify this point. First of all, if Dynamax Volibee sweeps, we'll put the Wailords at number 1.
No matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what the rest of your guys' record is.
Yeah. I don't care if you lose every other game. If you get a Dynamax Volibee sweep, we will put you at number 1. Anyway. So what was cool was the Sirfetch'd came in. The only thing that really threatened Sirfetch'd was the Mudkips Latios.
Yes.
So the Sirfetch'd came in, went for a first impression on the Latios.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
And-
The first impression.
And then nothing else really threatened it, and they were able to Dynamax it and get a couple of max moves off. They went for 1 or 2 Knuckles and just boost it up. And
this is out of Trick Room.
yeah.
Like, it outsped the Primarina, obviously, because the Primarina, it naturally outspeeds it. It outsped one other thing,
Scrafty.
The Scrafty, and was able to do, like, decent work. Just really good work. It had max overgrowth in the Primarina slot. Took care of that real easy.
Yeah.
and then just started going for Knuckles. I believe the Scrafty came in, so it was able to mitigate a little bit of the attack boost with Intimidate a little bit.
No, it's Scrappy.
Oh, they did run Scrappy, huh?
Yep.
Oof. But either way, I don't know how this Sirfetch'd just came in and just, like, swept outside of Trick Room, just next to Arcanine. Not like they had like a redirector next to it or anything. I believe the Blastoise did come in.
They brought out Blastoise for like a second.
Yeah, it came in and just... Arcanine was really just snarling stuff. It was really comfortable snarling, will-o-wisping things, and just sitting there and letting the Sirfetch'd do its job. So big props, honestly. The Cheat Drillers are doing a great job this season. I'm liking a lot of what's coming out from them. Their prep is good. Their play is good. Their team comp, honestly, is very well rounded. They're afforded a lot of different things that they can bring on a match to match basis. And I feel everything clicking for them right now, and they're definitely going to be a team to watch out for. Whereas on the other end, the Mudkips, I feel that the team is there. I like their team overall. I like the Primarina. I like the Glastrier. I like the Latios. I like all those things, but I just feel that something's not clicking. And we've kind of talked about it, me and you personally. We personally think that the lack of a consistent Trick Room mode is really hurting them.
The Ice Horse is just so underutilized on their team. I mean, they've played 3 weeks now, and they've bluffed Gourgeist every time, and that's their only Trick Room sitter. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
You have to play a strong Trick Room mode at least sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a little bit rough. It's been a little bit rough watching the Mudkips because we know the potential that they have. We know that they're a good team. We know that they're able to make good play. They can prep well. They know how to search for win cons within their prep and put them out at the right times. But right now they're 0-3, and I mean, I feel like they're not the only ones that are struggling. We're obviously struggling too.
Yeah.
The Jurors are struggling as well right now. So there are other teams that I feel the Spammers. I think we're going to talk about the Spammers coming up too.
Yeah,
they're 0-2 right now. And it's just one of those things where some of these teams that we know for a fact can do really well just aren't. It's not getting done. So
yeah,
still early in the year, but just something that while it's still early in the year, we have to tell this to ourselves too. Like, these are still games that count. So we just have to play our way out of it, but. You have the Drillers, you have the Wailords, and you have the Geezers right now who are really just hitting it on all cylinders. Mm-hmm. So good for them, man. They're playing really well, and it's just honestly just good for them.
Speaking of the Ally Switch Spammers, we've got them up against Team Pussy next.
Team Pussy is another one I forgot.
Oh yeah, I mean Team Pussy's back.
Yeah,
like that's what it looks like to me.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
I mean, I guess now would be the time to talk about it, but we'll go over
it's
the match.
a time. Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk about them in particular when we get to power rankings too. So I don't think the Spammers are I don't think they're doing bad. It's more just that in this matchup, Team Pussy came up with a game plan that they ended up being kind of weak to. Not that the Spammers didn't have any counterplay, but the Celesteela under Trick Room just destroyed them, man. It looked like the Spammers had a good thing going in the beginning of the match.
Yeah.
They led with the Regigeezers and they Dynamax Haxorus right off the bat. They went for Electro Web and just got a big KO on the Gengar immediately with the Max Steel Spike from the Haxorus. And then they also U-turned out the Diggersby, brought in the Celesteela to replace the Gengar, brought in the Hat to replace the Diggersby, and they just went for that straight Trick Room mode with the Dynamax Celesteela, and they went for the extreme speed on the hat. I do wonder if they went for Electro Web, if they would have actually gotten the KO, because it was Babiri Berry, so it lived the Steel Spike from Haxorus.
Thank you for telling me that was extreme speed, by the way, because I had no idea.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It was a little bit hard to decipher since it was on Yui's cart, but like it's most of the time
he went for something there. I don't know what it was, but he went for something.
Yeah. Most of the time, it's pretty easy to decipher it based on the animations. The one thing that I had a bitch of a time figuring out was what stat Celesteela was getting on Beast Boost. And I'm pretty sure it's attack, because it used Max Quake and it used Max Steel Spike, and the symbols didn't match up from either of those boosts with the boost it was getting on Beast Boost. So I'm pretty sure it was attack, but it was hard to tell based on the damage output, because it was mostly hitting into things that were at low HP.
Yeah, and that it was also hitting for super effective damage, like
or like the Quake on the Regigeezers. Yeah. So yeah, that was it was a little hard to decipher. I'm pretty sure it was getting attack boosts, because we did see Heavy Slam and Stomping Tantrum, so we know it was physical for sure. Yeah. So anyway, the Dynamax Celesteela just really went in here, and the hat survived the double up since it had Babiri Berry. I get why they might not have wanted to go for Electro Web, because they might have been afraid of a weakness policy on Celesteela. Perfectly understandable. I wonder, like, they probably just didn't have a single target electric move, which I guess makes sense in prep, because you're going up against Togedemaru with your Regieleki. But yeah, I do wonder if that would have changed the game, but I understand why they might not want to go for that.
Hoping for Sash probably over Beery.
Yeah.
And praying that you knock out anyway.
Right. So, yeah, no, I don't think it gets any special ground coverage. It's just Earthquake and Tantrum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could have been mixed, I guess, maybe, but like, yeah, we saw Heavy Slam. It's pretty clearly physical. So, pretty sure those were attack boosts. Anyway,
also very smart of them to go with Heavy Slam too, because in a format like this where Dynamax is only 3 turns, it's like I'm gonna be able to hit almost everything anyway. Like it's gonna be rare when I'm not gonna be able to hit something.
And if you're planning on maxing too, then so
you can mitigate that easy.
Yeah. So there was a point at which the spammers actually had an opportunity to KO the hat with an Aqua Jet on the Azumarill.
Yeah.
Instead, they went for a double switch to try to gain some momentum coming out of Trick Room. They switched into the Tangle and the Cinderace. They just took way too much damage on the switch, and I think if you had just if you went for the Aqua Jet on the hat, took it out, took the KO on Azumarill, and then brought in those two at full HP, maybe you had a chance. Yeah. But because Trick Room was still up, like they were forced to double protect at one point with the Tangela and the Cinderace, and they just took too much damage on those turns. And then the Celesteela had 2 Steel Spike boosts already, so the Cinderace was not able to do much damage, especially because it was not their Dynamax option.
Still did like 70% to it.
Yeah, 60, 70, something like that. But like it only got 1, and then it just went down to a Stomping Tantrum.
Yeah, it just went down to Stomping.
So yeah, that was it. Just wasn't enough to actually take it out, and the Celesteela just it just rolled over them.
Yeah.
I think like they do have kind of a tough matchup against a Trick Room sweeping Celesteela, but I don't know. I mean, they could have done a couple of things. They could have gone for like a min speed Tangela to sleep powder it in Trick Room. They could have maybe, because they don't have redirection on Team Pussy side. I'm pretty right. That was one of the teams without redirection. Yeah. So they could have gone for something like that. They could have maybe maxed the Caparaja and gone for Max Flare. There were options. I don't think that those are necessarily obvious things to go for in prep. But the main point is Celesteela just absolutely rolled him. Mm-hmm. They tried to fight back. They had a good effort, but they just couldn't do it.
Celesteela's just a tough Pokemon to take down.
Yeah, it is.
If it comes out and kind of starts setting up on you before you're ready for it, it's like, oh crap! I have to devote a lot of resources to this right now, and I have to get them out almost undamaged.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna survive 1 or 2, and that's a big issue. After that, we have the Matt Alcinas versus Doesn't Click. I'll go ahead and just say this right now. Game of the week. It was fantastic.
Oh god, it was so good.
It was a great game. If you haven't watched it yet, we have all the games in the description down below, so you can go back and watch it afterwards.
I don't think we mentioned that at all last week. Yeah, last week we started putting links to all of the matches in the description of the stream. So if you're curious about any of them, they're right there. I mean, they're also in the replays channel in the server. But yeah, that one in particular, fuck man, go watch it.
Yeah, mainly because it went back and forth so much. Dang, it's been a little bit since I watched this, so I'm sorry for for not knowing how the beginning started. But I believe it just went right with.
Do you want to pull it up?
Yeah, let's pull it up.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
We're live. We can do shit like this.
Yeah, we can do stuff like this.
Okay.
Now. Look in the description, or I guess you could just look.
Oh, you know what? Ryan actually did not post it in the replays. It is. Let me pull it up.
Actually,
Right here. All right. I actually have not watched Ryan and Fiona's side. We actually watched this live on Vichy's Twitch. So let's just fast forward here. Of course, no bluff on Vichy's side. So they Scarfall Corona.
That Scarfall Corona put in so much work with the struggle bug.
Yeah. So this is an interesting lead. I don't really.
I believe the Kartana was scarfed as well.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Remember they had Scarf Tailwind on it.
Oh, they did. Yeah. They didn't click it, but yeah, we saw it in move selection.
Yeah.
Okay, so they doubled the Urshifu here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was a really good KO. They doubled the Urshifu, and the Aromatisse just protected. Urshifu's down, and then they go into the Escavalier and just max it.
Yeah, and I thought, it went back and forth so many times because in this position you go, all right, I'm pretty sure even if they have the Kebia Berry for poison or the Babiri Berry, Aromatisse should be going down here. It's not going to take both.
It would have.
It would have totally if Gengar had Sludge Bomb.
Yep.
But it does not. Didn't do any other damage to anything else on the field either.
That fucking spread damage from this goddamn Sludge Wave. It just...
So, it went back
How much does it live with? Because it was like... Oh my god!
2. So... Yeah, the Escavalier basically just gets to come out right away and be in Trick Room now.
And the Aromatisse sets up Trick Room here as well.
Yeah, obviously. And it's not any damage, and it's like, oh man, this is going to be real tough for the Mats to kind of get out of right here. And, they do end up losing, I believe, the Gengar here. Let's see.
Yeah, I think they just pick off the...
Yeah.
Oh, no, they...
they get a double KO.
Oh, that's... Okay, yeah. Yep, I remember. So, and then this is a little bit of a weird play. They just...
I wonder if they were fishing to see if it was like AV or a Life Orb or anything like that to kind of try and see like what they were dealing with.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is a really good position for Doesn't Click here.
Yeah, absolutely. You're still in a very, very powerful position.
Yeah, and they can just... Now they just have the option to go for Max Bug. They don't have Max Bug. Right. Yeah, of course. When they didn't go for it here, that's just it's pretty obvious they didn't have it. So let's see.
What was the item that we saw in Escavalier? Was it Expert Belt?
Akaberry.
Okay.
So Indeedee protected. I think I don't think Gengar protected, but they probably just pick it up with a Moonblast. Yeah. Okay, so Gengar goes down here. That's the end of that turn.
And as you can see, it's looking not great for the Mats here.
Yeah.
The Swampert comes in, more or less not doing too much for the most part. It's just kind of being a good absorber of damage, basically.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be able to.
Gets
Oh yeah,
the
it didn't
yawn
even
off.
attack.
No.
Oh right, then they go for another yawn. I think on the next turn. And this is the last turn of Trick Room. They go for the Dynamax or the Max Guard
The
on the
max
Blaziken.
guard on the
Yeah.
Blaziken, so they can get the +1 speed boost coming out of Trick Room. And this is where you go, okay, let's take a look at exactly what the Mats have. They've only lost 3 Pokemon so far. They are going to be coming out into basically being able to be at +1 speed and outspeed everything, including the Dragapult if the Doesn't Click has it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think overall this was like a really, really good move just to make sure, just in case anything happened, you know.
A little bit of assurance there, going for the yawn on Aromatisse,
Yeah.
just to see if it switches out. I guess you could call this commentary. This is way more casual than what we were planning to
Yeah.
do with commentary. We just
remember what all this was.
right. We watched this game live, and I don't think we reviewed it since then. So we're just kind of refreshing ourselves.
And this was the game of the week, so we actually enjoy kind of showing this stuff. To
That's
you guys
fair too. Yeah, for sure.
Because this was a fantastic game. Like,
Yes. So Trick Room is over now, and the Blaziken just max guarded. It's got 2 turns of max left. Obviously got a speed boost. They've got a lot of momentum going for them right now. I think they just go for the easy max flare onto the Escavalier. And what is that? The Drago? Yeah, Drago comes out.
This isn't the turn that they go for max Airstream?
No, that's next turn.
No, that's next turn.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, they go for the flare here. Akaberry really doesn't do much damage through the berry and protect.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe like 20% or something. Yeah. Rocky, yes, this is not commentary. These are casual observations.
Yeah.
That's right. We'll do real commentary some other time. Okay. So they get another speed boost, and this is the turn the Blaziken goes for the Airstream.
Yeah, which I think was a real smart move overall.
Oh, yeah.
Because it really just, even if you don't pick up the KO on the Escavalier here, it doesn't really matter too much because you want to make sure that
They didn't even target the Escavalier. They killed the Aromatisse.
you want to make sure that because I'm sure
They didn't want it
wakes
setting up
up
Trick
and
Room.
gets its Trick Room set up.
Yeah, it's immune to Regidrago anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally fair. And then of course this just kills.
Yeah. It never ceases to amaze me, like how much damage this thing can put out. Like,
Yeah, that's
Vishy
that's
kind of like
insane.
talked it up, and we're just like, oh, okay, yeah, all right.
Like I kind of believed it once he told us about his experience and the calcs
Yeah.
and all that. I was like, okay, maybe this thing is stronger than I thought. But
man,
it's still impressive.
It's still outperforming what.
Yeah.
So right here, you're just going, oh man, they don't have the Trick Room mode anymore. Everything they have is going to outspeed. You have this incredibly offensive monster in the Regidrago here that's at +1. And this was just another huge swing in momentum that they had. So let's see. What ended up happening? Nothing yet. This is still in the first turn. That turn.
Okay, so yeah, I wonder if they would have been better off. You know what? They might have won the game if they knocked off the Seismitoad because they get rid of the AV.
Mm-hmm.
And they get damage off and they get rid of the AV. They would have killed Seismitoad that turn if they knocked it off instead of the Decidueye. I don't know if they needed to be all that afraid of the Decidueye, but now
Was anybody else surprised that knocked out?
Yeah.
I know it's stab ground. I know,
Yeah.
but like I was still like, nah, that don't knock out, right? No way.
I was really wondering when we were watching this live. I was really wondering because goddamn, Seismitoad is bad. We already saw it. Like it couldn't even pick up an Earth Power KO on what was it, Gengar against Team Pussy last week. Oh my god, this toad is trash. Somehow it lived through the entire game, I think. But dude, it's such trash.
It was key to their victory. What are you talking about?
No, the Volcarona was key to their victory. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
so here's where the Volcarona comes in and just the Scarf Struggle Bug really just handles does good damage.
It was actually good damage. What is that?
So it lowers the amount that Dragon Energy does. You didn't kill.
Of course you would. You knock off the
AV.
Yeah, you get you get some damage off, and you knock off the AV. That totally kills. I don't know if you probably wouldn't have killed Decidueye, but like maybe, I don't know.
But then you have to deal with the monster that is Decidueye.
Oh no, Decidueye! Holy shit! Yeah, the scarf struggle bug Volcarona just saved him, and that's really good prep on Doesn't Click's part.
They were probably expecting the scarf Drago.
Yeah, or at least just making sure that they beat that version of it.
Yeah.
Which I mean is perfect for the Airstream boosted Drago too. So yeah, and this is the last turn of the game. They just pick up this KO here. So oh no, they don't. They switch. Yeah. They switched out to the Swampert. They KO'd the Swampert, and then oh no, they killed the Regidrago here. The Swampert then comes out, and then yeah, Swampert just dies. So that's game. So yeah, really good prep of we're Okay, Ben. Okay, let's go back to that turn. Look at the damage that Drago's doing to the Seismitoad. Okay, I mean, do we need to calc this? Like, we can calc it if you want to. Okay. I mean, I don't know the Seismitoad spread, so who knows? Let's just look at the damage here. Oops, went a little too far. Okay. And your Life Orb Blaziken. Yeah. Okay, look. So
this is the AV Seismitoad.
Yeah. It does over 50%. That's with the knockoff damage, like your Life Orb Blaziken,
the
knocking
off the Assault Vest is really what it is.
Right. Getting rid of the Assault Vest. I mean, that's the equivalent of doing what 1.5 times damage that you did here, plus a little bit of like, even if it's just chip damage. Like, dude, that would KO even if Seismitoad like resisted knockoff for some reason. All you need is a little bit of chip and the lack of AV, and yeah, that KOs the Seismitoad. So don't tell me that the knockoff plus energy doesn't kill the Seismitoad, because it totally does.
Make sure that it's AV too. Just go back to team preview.
Oh yeah, well I mean we saw it already, but yeah.
AV.
Yeah, look at that. Assault Vest Seismitoad right there. I'm disappointed the Sliggoo didn't show up, but that's okay.
It's okay. What can you do?
Okay.
They didn't bring an item. Is that an insta loss?
Yes. Actually, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Okay, I was gonna say if they brought no item on Dragapult, that breaks item clause because they have lack of 2 items.
They didn't bring an item twice, so that technically you have nothing in both slots.
So yeah, that's
that was our game of the week right there. Honestly, yeah. It turned out really well. 2 fantastic teams. The Matt Alcinas, they've made playoffs every single year that they've been in the league. They have made it to finals. They've made it to top 4 twice, or made it to top 4 twice, obviously. And yeah, they consistently are one of the better teams. They have an amazing team now, and Doesn't Click.
Favorite team.
Yeah, and Doesn't Click is they're two-time champions, man. Like,
yeah.
Ryan and Fiona have great chemistry and synergy with each other. They know how to build. Like,
they do in fact click.
Yeah. They say they don't click, but they actually do. That's a trick. Yeah. Next is the Regigeezers versus the Platinum Pixies, aka Matt was wrong.
Yeah, no, I actually wasn't. So the reason the Landorus was called that was because I convinced them to run Landorus because they weren't originally going to, and I told them how useless Milotic was in that matchup. Like, what's Milotic going to do against, like, a Goodra and a Rillaboom and a Volcania? Nothing, right? So I suggested that it would be best to bring Landorus and probably max it so that you don't have to deal with the reduced earthquake damage from grassy terrain, and so that you can use max Airstream instead of Fly. They led with Landorus. They even had Outrage. They that wasn't even my idea. That was all them. They wanted Max Wormwind to hit the Goodra. They were right in front of the Dynamax Goodra, and they had the Max slot in the Landorus on the Landorus side, and they just U-turned out.
They had to have been terrified from like Ice Beam, but your AV.
I mean, I guess.
I mean,
yeah. So. So that was a little bit awkward. Should have maxed the Landorus, especially because they maxed the Genesect later on in the game, and they just went down to a max Flare.
Was it even a stab max Flare?
No, it was from Goodra.
Yeah.
I mean, well, okay.
And it was behind light screen.
To be fair, okay. So there were a lot of damage modifiers going on there.
Yeah.
There was light screen. There was the -1 drop from the max bug.
Yeah.
And the Persian had gone for fake tears onto the Genesect.
The Genesect, you're right.
So that all, I don't know if that exactly cancels each other out. Dave said the max slot was Crobat. Oh, okay. Well, it's still a little bit weird that they decided to max the Genesect instead of the Landorus. Like, you're going down to you're probably going down to max flare there anyway. So.
In prep, they told us too. Like, we go down to almost all max flares, so it probably wouldn't be a good idea to max it.
They did say that. Okay. Well, then they should have maxed the Landorus later in the game. But really, what ended up happening was, like, they just U-turned out with the Landorus. They didn't really have any offense. Because
they were left with Crobat and Klefki.
Well, the Crobat just went down without doing anything because they went for Icy Wind, max Lightning onto it immediately, and the Crobat was slower. Specifically to underspeed Cobalion because they were expecting a beat-up lead, so they wanted to underspeed Cobalion and then Haze, which is also why they had Focus Sash. Which would have been really cool if it worked, but that didn't happen. So really, what it came down to was like, it was kind of what we've been saying about the Pixies team. They just didn't have any offense without the Landorus and the Genesect. They switched out Landorus. It didn't come back in until it was the last Mon alive, and then it just went down to an Ice Beam. And the Genesect went down after getting a single max move off.
Yeah.
So they just didn't really have any offense.
It wasn't even a good trade. You took down Persian.
Right, exactly. So the only offense they had aside from those two was the Power Herb Cradily, which, it killed, the Goodra when it was at 60%.
But the second the Geezers saw that the thing was a threat, they focused it down like they should and knocked it out.
Right, and even then, you already used your max on Genesect, so it couldn't max. So you just had that one big nuke button with the single Power Herb, or the Power Herb Meteor Beam, and then it went for a +1 Giga Drain onto Volcanion, but it did half, and that was it. They were just able to Ice Beam Heat Wave, and Sun was up, so they were getting extra damage on the Heat Wave, and they were just kind of able to sit there and put out offense while the Pixies didn't.
Well, that's kind of one of the issues that we had with their team in general.
Exactly.
Is that they have two Pokemon that have offensive pressure.
Yeah.
And that's more or less it. And that's what we saw. And when you're trying to use Landorus as more of a pivot, then it really hinders your ability to actually put out offense.
Right.
Because you have Genesect, which is ×4 weak and got one max move off before it immediately died. And then you have Landorus, who they were content just going with an AV bulky, pivoting set, but just didn't seem like it was going to work out.
Yeah.
They just had too much offense.
It was a tough matchup for him anyway.
And the Suicune did so much work. It's done so much work this whole year. We were so wrong about that thing. You know that?
Let's save that for the next slide. So that's pretty much that. Oh, well, okay, I'll mention one last thing for this game. The Pixies actually had a really good idea in prep. They made one minor mistake, which I didn't even catch, so I don't blame them for it. But what they wanted to do was they realized they had basically no matchup against the Cobalion stuff. What they wanted to do was they figured, okay, Cobalion's going to be on the max side. They're going to be on the player one side, so we're going to put Ditto on the player one side so we can lose a Pokemon. Ditto comes in, copies the Cobalion, and they've run Sacred Sword before, so ideally they have Sacred Sword to ignore those Steel Spike boosts. We can just Choice Scarf, boosted Sacred Sword into the Dynamax Cobalion, take it out. That was a really cool idea. Unfortunately, player one does not mirror player one. Your side is facing down their player two side. The player ones are diagonal from each other, so they couldn't actually, even if the Cobalion had come out, they couldn't actually copy it anyway. So if anybody's trying to figure out what, we want to put this Mon on the same side as our opponents having this Mon, just know that your player one is looking at their player two.
Yeah.
So just a good piece of information there. And I feel like we all know that in the moment. We're like, oh, okay, I have the max slot. So-and-so is diagonal from me. They have the max slot right now. But we just didn't think of it. Like, when they mentioned the idea, I was like, oh, that's cool. Didn't occur to me that it doesn't work the way that they thought it did.
Yeah. So the Pixies, too, I want to go ahead and say that I feel that the Pixies and the Delibirds are similar in this way. They both have that know how to prep, that know what they need to do to game plan. I think the difference is that the Delibirds have more tools.
Yes, they do.
They have a lot more offense. They have a lot more things to kind of get the things that they want going. So it helps because they have a bigger, wider toolbox for them to kind of prep and work with than Nick and Ty do of the Pixies. And I feel that while the Pixies, because we kind of got a little bit of an insight on them and their building this weekend, and I felt that they were doing a really good job trying to prep this. And what was essentially is a very, very almost unwinnable matchup.
Yeah.
Like it was going to be very, very tough to kind of go through that. So I think that they had the prep, but they just don't have the tools to stop net things necessarily, because so many times they were just literally in positions of like, well, if they do that, we just lose. Mm-hmm. Well, if they do that, then we just lose. And the point of having a good team is to minimize those amount of scenarios.
Yep.
So you can cover almost everything to where it's not just, well, if they do that, then we just lose.
That's the trick for prepping and draft. I mean, I'm playing in another draft league right now, and I see a lot of the players just kind of like hard prepping for one thing and not really thinking about the fact that if something else comes out, then they just lose. It's often like was one time somebody was like hard prepping for Venusaur because he predicted that the Venusaur on his opponent's side was like just had a really good matchup, and then I think the Cinderace came out instead of the Venusaur and just rolled over him. So you gotta be able to prep for everything, and I think they were doing that the best that they could, but you have to, not only do you have to prep for every situation, you have to draft a team that's able to let you do that.
Yeah. Next, we have the New England Patriots versus the Rural Jurors. The New England Patriots were able to pull this one out largely by mixing up what they have been doing this last couple of weeks. They've been very static in their playstyle these last few weeks. They went with the Urshifu Thunderous mode pretty much the last 2 weeks and didn't change anything up about it.
Yeah.
We see that, this time they led with the Amoonguss and the Lapras, I believe. Was it the Amoonguss Lapras?
Yes, it was definitely Lapras.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was Amoonguss too.
And we're able to kind of mitigate stuff through that. The Rural Jurors actually still had an amazing game plan. I think they ended up trying to go for like a Calm Mind, Max Feeney, and that they went with safety goggles to kind of ignore all of the advantage, but you also have like a base 60 attack stat or
85, but yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, and Victini's 100s across the board, so
if Victini got a free switch, it was over.
Yeah.
And if Victini got a free switch and there was no timer, that was it. It was over.
Yeah, so ultimately it came down to the Patrats being able to keep their differential up high. I feel like they started going for the timer pretty early too.
Yeah.
Which obviously kudos to them. It was their win con. But yeah, I mean, I think it came down to a couple. I don't even know if the Jurors would have won. Now that I've thought about it, if the Feeney would have lived. Because their play would still be to switch out the Amoonguss, and if they had Regenerator on it, it was going to give them that, amount of HP back. And I don't know if the Jurors would have been able to put themselves into a position to where they were going to be able to do more damage. I think switching to the Victini probably would have been the easiest thing, because you're most likely just going to eat a Giga Drain there, because they were so hell bent on getting rid of the Feeney. But it's still tough because the Spore could still come into that, still lose ultimately, because all they have to do is protect, then switch out, get the Regenerator back, and it's still 3v3. It goes down to time. So
yeah, I mean, they also had the option to switch into Serena, but then if the Patrats kept playing to the timer and just did what they did and protected the Amoonguss, switched out to Steelix on the triple axle, they might have still won on HP.
Yeah, I mean, right now would probably be a good time to kind of bring up the timer in general.
Yeah.
We've seen an inordinate amount of games go to time this season, just without even trying for the most part. We've kind of talked about it a little bit. It's happened a lot previously. I think one of the reasons is because we are in a draft type format, you're not allowed so much offensive threats. But some of these other Pokemon that have come in from Crown Tundra are really bulky on they have all around good stats. They're not just like glass cannons or, anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I think you're just seeing a lot of just in general, strong, bulky Pokemon come out, like Celesteela, for instance.
Yeah.
And there's not enough that we have with the budgets that we have that can properly like put out the amount of offense to consistently knock out some of these threats right away. Mm-hmm. Might be something to look at in as far as budgeting and maybe moving stuff down a little bit to give people a little bit more offense. But then that makes it rough too, because when you start messing with stuff like that, just to kind of get more people good Pokemon, then it ends up really just being like, okay, well, who has what draft spot? Some of these B tiers that should be an A or S, or A tiers that should be an S tier. And that really kind of kills it a little bit too, because then you're really left with like searching through the garbage at the end of the round. So it in general is just really tough, because even when you go for offensive strategies, like it may not be enough. Mm-hmm. You may not have enough to pull it out. So
yeah, I mean, and Dina makes a good point here. She says that Timer has her regretting not getting a more offensive team, which is totally fair. Her team's not the Jurors team is not the kind of team that's just gonna hit the field and go all out on big offense right away. They have some tools to do that. We saw that in week 2 with the weakness policy Victini stuff. But yeah, I think I think that's a fair point. I didn't even. That's not even something that I thought about when analyzing some of these teams in the beginning. I didn't really realize how much more of a problem would be this time.
Yeah.
Or would be this time.
Yeah. Because like it's just in general, like you have to kind of keep all that stuff in mind. But it is a huge thing, because even like you have the Sadistic seniors, who they have an extremely offensive team, and man, sometimes their stuff goes real long. Mm-hmm. And they have threats on threats on threats.
Yeah.
So it's something that you have to be cognizant. It's one of the reasons why we talked about the Wailords draft, why we were kind of like, I don't know if the Shuckle Chansey is even needed, because there's just we just go to time just regularly. So it was a tough loss overall for the Jurors. Good job for the Patrats for being able to get out a win. But it's going to be interesting to see if that's going to continue to take into effect.
I agree with Dave. I hope that the Gen 4 remakes have a decent timer. It's maybe not, because it's still, I think it'll still be technically part of Generation 8. But like, I'm really hoping that
the problem is that they really don't care too much about this format anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Like to the point where they just basically just tacked another timer for other formats onto it, and it's like, this is 6v6.
Shit. Do you want to do another speed test? Because that is not good.
Oh, it's picking back up.
So, the only thing that's weird about that would be that that might incentivize hyper offense too much, because you only have one thing to switch in on either side, and it's going to be really easy to blow up either side. Like, I think even more so in VGC, an early lead is just going to mean the end of the game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and it's going to probably require very creative solutions to try and find a way around it.
Yeah. All right, so that'll do it for the Week 3 results. We're going to analyze the transactions a little bit, because the transactions are a factor in our power rankings. So, first transaction, the Patrats went first, and they made a good choice in restructuring their draft a little bit. Instead of having 3 S tiers, they traded away one of their S tiers in Amoonguss and a B tier in Gothorita, and picked up two A tiers in Silvally and Gothitelle. Mm-hmm. I don't think this isn't exactly the trade that I wanted to see them make. I think the Silvally at least helps them with their offense. It can provide some good support and good offense. It has a lot of good coverage. It's extremely versatile. Obviously, it could be any type.
Yeah.
They, I get the Gothitelle over the Gothorita because they didn't want to change their team too much. I'm just not confident that Paris Trap is very good here. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how well they do with it. But I really wanted I wanted to see them go for some more offense. But I also think that they're not done with transactions as well. I think they probably want to go, as weird as this sounds, a little bit more top heavy and maybe try to get some E tiers down at the bottom so they can get some higher tier Pokemon up toward the top instead of having like, I mean, half of their draft is 2 C tiers and 3 D tiers. That's rough, man. 3 D tiers is not the way to go. So this is better than what they had, but I'm not convinced it's what they...
No.
Right. Oh, that is the download speed. Okay, so yeah, let us know if you guys can hear us right now.
Our speed test is telling us that we're doing all right.
Okay.
So even if we're getting a little bit of a delay here because it doesn't look like it, the speed test says that we should be doing all right.
Okay.
And it seems like people are. Well, at the very least, we'll not talk about any important things while it seems like it's lagging. So.
Okay. Supposedly good now. All right. We'll keep going then.
Yeah.
If it gets really bad, we can always just stop. We'll restart the internet, and then we'll just restart the stream, and I'll edit them together later. As much as that kind of sucks.
Whatever. It's not a big deal. So the Mudkips swapped out Rabombi for Meowstic. We didn't really see a lot coming out from the Rabombi. They had the opportunity to do speed swap stuff with the Glastrier.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if the Meowstic is it's good on this team. It gets stuff like Tickle. It's a prankster user that can kind of potentially help mitigate some of the speed stuff that they want to do, particularly like with Primarina. Primarina really likes Thunder Wave stuff because it can hit a nice speed stat that gives it the same amount of bulk, but when your speed gets dropped, it's hard to kind of like outspeed the Primarina. And it obviously gives them another Trick Room user. Gives them something like with Fake Out. So I do like Meowstic overall on the team. I just wish that we would have seen a restructuring for like an A or B tier Trick Room user. A better one. Like a really bulky one. Something like Runerigus, Cofagrigus. I mean, to
be fair, they have a ghost type Trick Room setter already. But you know what? Honestly, okay. I realize that Gourgeist is their grass type in their Firewater Grass Core. But man, it's rough when that thing is one of your dedicated Trick Room setters. I like the ghost typing because you can't get faked out, but like I would have preferred seeing them. I would have liked a Cofagrigus or a Runerigus in that slot to begin with, because you just have so many weaknesses with this typing. That's mostly the grass type's fault.
Yeah.
But you just have so many different weaknesses. Whereas Cofagrigus and Runerigus, they just have those ghost type weaknesses in Ghost and Dark. So it's really rough to reliably get Trick Room up with Gourgeist, honestly. You need another Trick Room setter that does other stuff. And I mean, Meowstic is good here. It's better that they have Meowstic than not have it, because they need another Trick Room setter. They really need to start using that Trick Room mode, honestly. I mean, I would have also liked to see them maybe swap something out for another good Trick Room sweeper to help the Glastrier. I mean, Primarina and Scrafty kind of can if the opposing team isn't very slow. But even then, Scrafty is not very offensive. It's tough for Scrafty's. It's not a sweeper. Overall, it's a positive trade. I think I just would have liked to see something better, and maybe this is what they need to actually start using the Glastrier properly. Maybe the Meowstic is really going to help him do that. I don't know. But I think the main thing here about this team is that they need to they need to start sweeping in Trick Room, or maybe lead it just next to Riolu and then bring in their Trick Room sweeper after Riolu dies. I don't know, just something other than what they're doing. Don't just leave your Trick Room setter on the field, don't just leave your Trick Room setter on the bench and bring Glastrier in the back. It's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not maxing it.
Yeah. Next we have the Porygons, who swapped out Sylveon and Delmise for Grimmsnarl and Electabuzz. I do like these in general just because they kind of gives them a little bit more versatility with speed control, gives them another redirector that I feel might help them out a little bit more. I don't know why you stack 2 electric redirectors and keeping the Pikachu. Maybe they really, really, really like the fake out option on it. But just having 3 electric types. I know Zapdos isn't weak to ground. I get that, but just having those 3 electric types can be a little bit weird. It's a little bit anti-synergy there. The Grimmsnarl overall should add some much-needed support to this team, because I felt that constantly just trying to bring out offensive threats and not putting them in any type of position to help them, and then the offensive threats were getting blown up. You see that with Garchomp, you see that with Barraskewda this week, where like the Barraskewda came out and it's just like, cool, we took care of that with a priority grass move. The Scizor, it's just, there's not a lot of help that comes out for it. So I think that's one of the issues, having Grimmsnarl there to be able to A, mitigate damage, B, be able to get consistent speed control down, and also being versatile and being able to switch between offense and defense should help out as well. So
yeah, I'd expect to see them drop Pikachu in the next transaction cycle. Maybe they just really they knew they needed a better redirector, and they also just really, really wanted the Grimmsnarl.
True.
The Pikachu, it's just been so terrible for them. It sits on the field and just dies. It hasn't even been worth it. So yeah, I think in order to improve this team, they got to drop the Pikachu. It's just not doing anything now, especially now. Next, we had the Booloos dropping the Obstagoon and the Zygarde 10% for Liepard and Nidoqueen. I'm unsure of how these trades are going to go, how well they're going to do. Overall, I do think it's an improvement, though. The Obstagoon and the Zygarde, as far as damage output goes, they're very hard to use. They're very underwhelming. And I think as they started using them, even without actually bringing them out, they realized in prep when they were doing calcs that it's just really hard for them to actually get good damage off.
Really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say. I've used it in GS Cup for a long time. It's not there to do damage.
Yeah. It was good
for the stats.
Yeah, it was good for the speed. They don't have anything quite that fast anymore. Liepard is fast, of course, but it's mainly just using prankster stuff anyway, so its speed is sometimes not that relevant. But I do like the good support in Liepard. They have a really nice follow me, two nice follow me users and a good prankster user. I think it can. There's a lot of different things in Liepard's toolkit. I think it can help out quite a bit. A bit of a lag again, but yeah, we'll as long as it doesn't get too bad, then it should be okay. And then Nidoqueen, it's got it's at least a better overall ground type user, I think. Gives them a poison typing. It has a lot of other coverage. Its damage output is better than the Zygarde's. I think this is overall pretty positive. I've always just found Nidoqueen and Nidoking difficult to use, but I've also never used them in draft, so we might see some good stuff.
Nidoqueen I like because it has good bulk. It's not a great speed set, but it's got good bulk with sheer force, got decent coverage. In particular situations where you're going to protect it nicely, I think it can be really good. Mm-hmm. So, and then Liepard just is Liepard. It's good prankster user, has good second ability in Unburden, which can be activated with Rillaboom. So if they're afraid of dark type that they want to be able to get status moves off of, just go Unburden Grassy Seed, and you can be able to put fake tears or whatever you want on that.
It also gets Screech if you want to like max the Rillaboom and Screech and
Yeah.
go for a big. Oh well, it doesn't. They don't have Drum still because they don't have the G-Max version.
But still, it'll hurt.
Yeah, you can still
hurt
do
a
some good
lot.
stuff.
Next after that, we had the Raiders drop Clean Clang and Porygon for man, Jared could not wait to get rid of the Porygon. And then is like, why don't my teammates like to build with me?
I mean, the Fledgling is better at least. It's still probably not going to come out that much. It's just a priority Tailwind bot. It has a couple other like support tools, but it's such a shitty little not fully evolved mon that it's probably not going to get him off.
Yeah, and that's fine. And then Rapidash gives them a fire type that's actually a fire type and not just Colossal. I think Rapidash can be decent. You know, it has a good speed stat, good coverage, decent attack. I think it's 100 base attack.
Yeah. 105 speed is good too.
Yeah.
It kind of just it does kind of fit this offensive Fire Water Grass core they have because they all want to move first. The Rapidash and Inteleon are fast, and then the obviously the Thwacky's got the priority grassy glide. That's how you say that. So it does fit pretty well with that, and it's not as rigid as Colossal is. Even though Colossal can do some other stuff that's not the normal Colossal stuff, and I am looking forward to seeing that come out at least once. But we'll see. At least Rapidash gives them an extra option for a fire type. I do like that trade, especially because doubling up on the steel types there, especially when one of your steel types is Kling Clang, not great. So, yeah, I like Rapidash a lot better here. This is definitely an improvement.
Pixies traded Landorus T and Cradilly for Mudsteel Lucario. This was an interesting one. And not bad, not good, I feel. I think it was something that they needed to do, and it made their team better, but it also, obviously, when you get rid of, like, a very crucial S tier like that was obviously, like, we were bashing him a little bit for not having offense, but you have to kind of get rid of, like, it's a tough position to be in. It really is. So, I think that they still have a couple more things they need to do here, but I will say this. The Pixies and the Patrats needed a couple of transactions to figure this out. I like the Pixies' direction more than I like how the Patrats are. And granted, the Patrats have a lot more that they need to take care of, but I think grabbing the Lucario, which we talked segment last week, that was a high-quality A-tier pick that doesn't have inner focus.
Zach says peck onto weakness policy Thwacky.
How do we not think of that? Oh my god, it's over for the league. I think getting the Lucario is something that, you know, can't be faked out. Redirector can also do some other stuff. It has access to Justified. Don't know if anything could proc it necessarily. I could be wrong. I'm looking at it right now.
I don't think so. Dude, if they get a good beat-up user, they can do beat-up stuff with both Justified and Stamina.
Yeah, it's actually not bad. So, I think the Lucario is a good ad, just in general, because it's how versatile it is. It's decent typing that should be able to help. Good redirector. I think it's a good ad. And then Mudsdale is nice because it still gives them that ground coverage that they were looking for. Mm-hmm. Not as offense as the Landorus was, obviously, but doesn't share the 4x weakness.
It improves their Trick Room matchup too. Mm-hmm. It's got 35 base speed, which is like pretty good, not great for Trick Room.
Yeah.
But if you max it, god damn, it down.
Yeah,
holy
it really
shit!
is. You
could have picked really anything here and it would have been better.
But they actually made their team legitimately like a decent amount better with the vanilla.
Right. Yeah. And this is okay. I like this for a few different reasons. Number one, I have a thing for Vanillix. I used it in like early VGC 2020. It's pretty cool. Personal reasons, I just like it. Number two, I don't think I've ever seen anyone draft Hail like you use Hail in a draft setting.
Makes a lot of sense though, right?
Yeah, I mean it's not the best because Alolan Sandslash is like it's not a great sweeper.
You're playing a B and a C tier.
Yes, that's the thing.
Yeah,
it's a low tier weather mode that's not going to be like a high tier weather mode that we saw previously last season. Going into playoffs, Ben and Vishy picked up the Kanto Ninetales and G-Max Venusaur. That's just straight hard sun that you have to prep to counter sun if you're going up against those two.
And we also had Excadrill with Gigalith last season as well.
You have to hard prep against the sand mode against when you're going up against those two. With this, it's like they don't even take up two of these high tier spots.
No.
It's not even a guarantee that you're going to see the hail mode come out against you. It's a little bit weirder to like hard prep for such a low tier combination.
But if you don't,
yeah, and if you don't, like they might get you, even though the Sand Slash is offensively it's lacking a little bit. Defensively it's got 2-4 times weaknesses, which is weird.
But Vanillix is so good.
Yeah, honestly, I haven't seen people draft Vanillux in even by itself very very often or maybe ever. I had it in a VGC league for a few weeks and it was cool. But yeah, I'm just really excited to see how the hail mode does. It's just really cool to see, and to top it all off, it's replacing Chansey and Shuckle. So
yeah, I mean, props for them for getting rid of something that they themselves identified they didn't like.
Yeah.
But being able to flip that into a legit mode, like you lost a mode obviously with Shuckle Chansey, but you flip that and turn it into another legit mode that only helps your team a lot more. I agree. I like the switch up a lot. Makes their team a lot better. Next we have the Drillers, who drop Mandibuzz and Exploud for Pikachu G and Fungus. The Mandibuzz, I know that was a Brian pick. I love Brian to death. He loves his Pokemon, his Mandibuzz.
I like Brian. I don't like the Mandibuzz.
Yeah. I played 17. I ran Feeny Mandibuzz. I love that thing. It was so good against like Sun teams and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't like it so much in League. You don't really have it's rough. It's rough to run. And swapping that out for Pikachu G-Max and Fungus, two really good, like, you got another good redirector, which, now they don't have to be pigeonholed. Yes, another good redirector, though. But now you can, like, actually legitimately bring a Shell Smash Blastoise variant next to Pikachu that could actually be super devastating because you have Lightning Rod, because you have Fake Out plus Follow Me, Electro. I mean, well, not like you're going to be using Electro Web, but especially once you get Shell Smash off. But like the Lightning Rod support, you can put Helping Hand on it so you can simultaneously protect it from electric type attacks plus throw off Helping Hand support. Doesn't pigeonhole the Blastoise so much into always being the Follow Me user.
Dude, if you think you're going to get Electro Webbed, just lead the Pikachu Blastoise. Shell Smash weakness policy. Boom. Easy. Done.
Yeah. Who cares about the defense drops at that point, right? It's like you're eating +4 attacks now.
So, yeah, Brian says he admitted defeat. I assume that means he's talking about Mandibuzz. And he asked the guys for Pikachu. Here's the deal, man. I still think Pikachu is a bad pick. I like Fungus a lot because it gives you another redirector. It's Rage Powder instead of Follow Me, which is not great. But I don't think people are going to be bringing Goggles against you anyway, even if you don't have the Pikachu. And it really, really helps your Trick Room mode a lot because your team's not that slow. But that 15 base Spore, like, I guess somebody might bring Safety Goggles if they were really looking to use like a nice Trick Room sweeper against you guys. But yeah. It helps a lot. The
Fungus is the pick.
Right. That one is really, really good. The Pikachu, I don't know how much it's really doing. I think what would make this team almost perfect would be one of those really fast B-tier Tailwind setters that we talked about in our stream last week, which would be either the Noivern or the Aerodactyl, because this team is so goddamn slow. Mimikyu's the fastest thing on this team.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. So I think just like... And to be honest, just having something like Noivern or Aerodactyl with like makes people have to prep for that speed tier. So one of the things that we did against the Drillers is we have stuff like Zarudo at 105 base speed, 108. what's it called? The other Pokemon we have at base 115 or whatever the hell it is.
115.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the Jurors. I have all these teams stuck in my head now. Jeez.
Well, but the point is, all we had to do was make our shit outspeed the Mimikyu.
Yeah. Yes. And when you have something like Aerodactyl, or when you have something like Noivern, it's like, no, you can't do that. Like, you have to almost always run it max speed just to run it max speed. So,
it got picked. I assume he's talking about the Pikachu here. Yeah. It got picked to beat one team.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. I believe you. But yeah, I mean, with these two picks right here, I think the Wailords and the Drillers, they took good rosters and made them better. Particularly the Wailords, but I think the Fungus in general, because I know Brian likes to play and trick room a little bit, and this team isn't really slow enough to always do that. The Amoonguss is perfect because it sits next to some of these slower-ish Pokemon. You just redirect the stuff away, put stuff to sleep that may be slower than you, and you can really kind of put down a lot of pressure with like Amoonguss next to a Sirfetch'd and Armaldo, even like the Slowking. Slowking gets nasty plot, so like yeah, you can do stuff next to it. But I like the trades.
Mm-hmm. You want to take the next one because I'm taking number 10.
All right. We have the seniors who dropped Buzzwole for Rotom Frost. I mean, they're getting rid of one threat that was a big threat, and now they're kind of changing up just some of the typings that they have, I'm guessing. I think all the Rotoms are now taken. Is that true? No,
Rotom Fan is still available, which I think I would have liked to see that a little bit more here because it's in the same tier as Frost. I think it's actually kind of a steal for a B tier mon. It can do all the stuff that other Rotoms do, but it can also be a max Airstream sweeper, which is kind of cool. I mean, there's got to be a reason that they picked this one over Rotom Fan. I just don't know what it is. Maybe Blizzard spam next to Max Hailstorm on the Porygon or the Starmie. I don't know.
They could just like fridges, dude.
I don't think that's
fridges are pretty cool, right? That's what the kids like these days. Nice refrigerators. Don't they play video games and stuff on them now?
I guess. I think it's unfortunate that Buzzwole got taken off here because I did consider that a big threat. I mean, anything with Beast Boost like can be a really big threat. It is a weird Pokemon because it's got a shit special defense stat and a 4 times weakness to flying. That's a little weird. Okay, Zach says that they were debating between the two Rotoms. That makes total sense to me. I think if I were you, I would have taken the other one.
They like the Ice Stab.
I mean that's fair. I'd also. I mean, it's good that we have Zach here because I actually want to ask him a question. So, Buzzwole never came out for you guys. I guess. I mean, you can infer kind of that maybe it just didn't seem good in prep. Maybe it didn't fit well with the team, or just there was too much. There was too much stuff. Is like how much of that is true, or like what was the reason that you guys wanted to get rid of the Buzzwole? Because I did actually like it on your team. It did seem like it really added to that threat level.
Yeah, I did.
It's still a very high threat level here, even with the Rotom. I mean, it can still be like a nasty plot sweeper, I guess. Especially if you max it, then you don't have to deal with Blizzard's accuracy, because you Hailstorm and then hails up ideally when your max is done, you just Blizzard for free. So yeah, Airstream is. I mean, it's the best max move in the game. It's definitely a big issue for something like Buzzwole, especially those special Airstreams. So I mean, fuck man, physical Airstreams will kill it too.
Yeah, I mean, even with its massive defense stat, it's still 4 times a week.
Yeah. So yeah, that's fair. I would like Rotom Fan a little bit better here, but you know, if you want the Ice Stab, go for the Ice Stab. And number 10, the Regigeezers, they dropped Suicune and Goodra for Salamence and Vikavolt. All right, let me just get rid of here. Okay. I told you so. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, I really like these trades. I think it makes the team a lot better. I was the reason I say I told you so, if you didn't catch our interview with them, is because I was kind of harping on him about Suicune maybe not being the best pick. I told him I really, really wanted to see I get the tailwind in that an A tier tailwind user in that slot is great. I totally get that. But what I really wanted to see was something more threatening, more offensive, more versatile, that can also set up tailwind and ideally double as a max airstream sweeper. Boom. We got Salamence. Tailwind setter. Way more offensive and threatening. Doubles as a max airstream sweeper, especially with Moxie. That's so cool. We all know how threatening Gyarados was in early VGC 2020 with Moxie and max airstream. This does basically the same thing, and it's versatile as shit because you can run a more support-oriented set with Intimidate, and it even gets some good support moves. Like, obviously, Tailwind is big. It gets Breaking Swipe. It gets a couple other support things. I don't really remember off the top of my head. But we're
taking credit because we deserve credit, Austin.
Yeah, man. I mean, is it not exactly what I said?
I got something else to say on it too, a little bit later.
Sure,
just in general, but go ahead.
I also like that they keep the dragon typing because they got rid of Goodra, and in place of Goodra, they got something that helps their Trick Room matchup. Vikavolt, I believe, is base 45 speed. It can help against maybe some teams like the Drillers have something like Surfetch that maybe might want to be a Trick Room setter or a Trick Room sweeper. I mean, but it's not super slow. You know, Vikavolt's slow enough to help against something like that. Just as an example, so I do like the addition of something slower here.
That wraps this up. What I wanted to say was that Austin said, "I knew you'd take credit." Just want this to be clear: we're not just taking credit for your team. We never see this many transactions in a season. And after, never. 10 teams took transactions? It's unheard of. Most of the Pokemon that were taken were ones that were featured in our segment last week. And a lot of the issues that were taken off some of the stuff that we had criticisms for a lot of these teams earlier in the season for their draft. So, yes, but we're also taking credit for a lot of these.
Let's just for fun, let's just count how many of these transactions were things that we mentioned last week. Okay, Gothitelle, Meowstic Male, Grimmsnarl, Electabuzz, Liepard, Lucario,
Fletchling too, because we talked about Prankster Tailwind,
Fletchling,
and Rapidash,
Fungus, and Salamence. Yeah, 10 of these mons we
the
mentioned
only person
last week.
that kind of can't say nothing are the Wailords, because they made kind of working for us. And they picked up 2 Pokemon that we had no idea.
Yeah.
we were not. They were not even on our radar.
I was looking at Vanillux, but we just had so many Pokemon on our list. We had to cut it down a little bit. What else was I looking?
It's bad students, Austin. It's not our prep. It's not our guide. It's actually you guys didn't listen hard enough. Don't you know? If you guys succeed, then it's because of us, and if you guys fail, it's because you guys are bad students.
Yeah, exactly. oh, Allan apparently was looking at Fungus before we said anything.
No, we were expecting this too. Now we're going to get all these people to be like, no, man, that's not true. Yeah, shut up.
Anyway, now
we were looking at Rapidash before. We like it.
Yeah, okay, now that we're done jerking ourselves off, we're going to move into power rankings after an hour and a half. What the fuck are we doing?
I know, I got a job after this.
What? Sure? Wait, when?
Right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's why I was on the phone.
Do you want to take a break?
No, I'm going to be gone for like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Ah, shit. Let's try to blow through these as fast as we can then. Okay, number 18, Dark Web Porygons. They were at 17 last time. They took a loss, and the number 18 team from last time moved up. Pretty simple why we're moving them down to number 18. They're 0-3. Patrats are no longer at 18, so that's where the Porygons land.
Mudkips at 17. You know, they're 0-3. Not much you can do. Not only are they 0-3, I think this is the key thing about the Mudkips and the Porygons is they've lost in pretty convincing fashions. And I already know, I can already see Dom hopping in the chat right now, talking about how, no, we absolutely got this wrong, bro. We watch the games. We have eyes. But, yeah, it's tough. Once they start getting wins, we do think these teams have the potential to be able to compete, especially now that the Porygons made some transactions. But right now, it's not happening, so we down here 17, 18. And the Pixies...
Mudkips next.
I just talked about the Mudkips.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Porygons.
I was talking about both.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah. But as far as the Pixies are concerned, I feel that it more has to do with just as they do have a win, it's not against one of the, I hate to say the better teams. It's not really how I want to kind of say it, but like it's against a little bit of a lackluster team. They've been beat convincingly already a few times, and they barely came out with a victory again. I do like the Booloos. I think that the Booloos have potential, but that they do deserve credit for being able to get that victory. But yeah, there's obviously some RNG stuff. Even though I did defend that, they played very well, they prepped very well, but the teams they have gone against and won just haven't been able to show out, and they've lost pretty convincingly. So even though they have a win, they're going to be at 16.
And number 15, we have the Patrats picking up their first win and also making some good transactions. Like we said, we do factor in transactions for deciding where to place these teams. Honestly, the Patrats and Pixies could both fluctuate between 15 and 16. We just felt that because this week in particular, Patrats got a win and the Pixies got a loss, we felt it was appropriate to move the Patrats up above the Pixies because that means the Pixies don't move down at all. We felt that was pretty fitting. But I mean they very narrowly eked out a win against considered to be very good despite them being one of the 0-3 teams. So so props to the Patrats for that.
Next we have our favorites. The Rainbow Raiders.
How you doing, Jared?
Love you, Jared.
Love is a strong word.
It is a strong word that describes how I feel about a 16-year-old boy.
You just said that on the live stream. Okay.
No, but Jared, he's one of the guys that we like talking to because he likes to talk the most crap. And why is it that the teams that are like at the bottom here just talk the most, dude? Jeez. Like the Wailords don't say nothing to us. Oh, the Geezers do.
Yeah, they do.
Even the what's it called? The Drillers, like they beat us and they just kind of been like, yeah. Team Pussy don't say nothing. Doesn't say nothing to us. All these other bottom teams, they love talking crap. But Raiders, we moved them down. Another convincing loss. We do like some of the transactions that they have. They have a decent team, but we just need to see better play out of them. I think that their prep has been decent, but I think the play has been a little bit suboptimal.
I mean, to put it delicately, these last 2 weeks, they've been fucking up. Yeah.
I mean,
that wasn't delicate at all. I know.
Yeah. The Spammers staying at 13. I think they had they took a loss this week, but
yeah, they're mostly, some of these bottom ones are weird. This week in particular, it's the Spammers. Typically, if somebody takes a loss, they should move down. I don't think that sometimes if you take a loss, if you still did really well, sometimes that's enough to keep you at the same spot instead of moving down. I think they did okay. This isn't really a case where like, oh man, they just barely lost, we can't move them down. It's more just a case of like other teams did poorly enough that we just had to move them down. I think I can't really justify putting the Spammers or even the Booloos or us. Both the Booloos and us had a bye week. Yeah. We didn't do anything to deserve moving up, but both of us did, mostly just because
other teams made a stronger case for moving down.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I mean, we said this a bunch of times last season. Typically, if a team has a bye week, we try to keep them in the same spot. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. This is one of those times because we just feel like other teams, we needed to move other teams down.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Booloos, like I said, they really didn't do anything to deserve being moved up. I mean, aside from transactions, I guess the transactions were okay. But I think if transactions normally would not be enough to move them up after they've had a bye week, and that's not just for them. That's for teams in general. So they're mostly just moving up again because other teams just needed to be below them.
Yeah.
All right, moving on here. Want to take this one?
Yeah, Jurors moving down, even though they're 0-3. I think. Okay, so I think let me take these two.
Okay.
The Jurors have it was a bad loss last week. I'm not going to say that it's not. But their team is still consistent. It looks like it's good. They've been able to put a decent amount of just good, consistent game plans together. They're showing a lot of prep. It's just been not great luck. The timer's been really messing with them. They had a great match against the Mats the week before, and that was probably the only one that was like really decisive. But they still put together a good game plan. And, so they did move down a spot. We do still like them a lot more than some of the other 0-3 teams, mainly because of how strong their draft is. It's still one of the stronger ones in the league. If you're prepping against this, I mean, if you look at the team preview, there's no way that you can't say that this isn't a strong draft. So I think just...
Their games have all been really good and really close, too.
Yeah, so... And then that kind of brings us to us, too, the burnouts. You may be able to say whatever you want. I know we joke a lot, but the fact of the matter is that the teams that we've lost to have not lost any games. So that should take into account too. We've punished the Geezers and we punished the Drillers for basically having a weak strength of schedule, for not being able, because essentially the only team that they've gone against, as far as the Drillers are concerned, that have taken a game are the Patrats. That's it. We're 0-2. The Mudkips are 0-3, and the Patrats just won one. And
for the Geezers, their only win is against the...
A one-win team. Two one-win teams.
Yeah, the only team they've beaten that has won a game is the Pixies.
Yeah. And so, well, they beat the Patrats, too.
Oh, right, the Patrats are on the board now. Okay, yeah. Yep.
So it's just the one-win teams, lower-ranked teams that are on here, like that we honestly feel that aren't that good, but... Us, ourselves, we feel, even though we are 0-2 right now, we've gone to time and had decent win conditions against a lot of these teams, and they're undefeated. So it's not like these undefeated teams are coming out and rolling us. We're actually putting up a good fight against them. We're just coming out on the losing end, and we've only played 2 games.
Yeah.
So while it may look a little strange that an 0-2 team might be up at number 10, and I know it's weirder because we're here, but it's more like we were talking about before. There's no like teams that really pushed up as far as us and the Blues. It's more that so many teams started to move down, and we just kind of got raised up naturally for that.
Right. Yeah. Next up is the Delibirds. This is another weird one because like they took a good win this week. It's just so hard to put them up above some of these teams up here because we like all of all the teams in the top half. We like them so much. The Delibirds they're better than we gave them credit for initially.
Absolutely. It's worth saying.
But like the only team I could reasonably put them above is maybe the Seniors. Even that's hard, and then that would cause the Seniors to fall by 6 spots, which I don't think is deserved. Even falling 5 spots is harsh. It's just that the teams above them are just so strong.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the Seniors' deal as well. I mean, they took a loss against the Potatoes, which is another one of our favorite teams this season so far. I mean, the Seniors are still doing good. They're still they dropped out of the top 5. They were in the top 5 last week. I could totally see them taking 1 or 2 more wins and moving back up into the top 5, depending on how those other teams do. It's so hard to put them above some of these other awesome teams.
Okay, I think that's the main thing, is just how we said that we moved up because a lot of people have moved down. There are too many really good one-win teams. It has nothing to do with the Delibirds. It's just that a lot of these one-win teams are just so good. You look at these 3...
Well, 2-win teams now.
I'm sorry, 1-loss teams. That's
what I
meant. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
X1 teams. So a lot of these 1-loss teams are just really good along with them, who are also a 1-loss team. But the Seniors, they've had really impressive wins. Doesn't Click have had really impressive wins, and they only lost to essentially what is probably going to be considered the best team in the league at this point in Team Pussy. But they have had really good wins. Against the Mats, I think that was probably one of their more impressive wins.
Yeah.
The Potatoes have a really good squad, and they're starting to find their stride a little bit. So
more than a little bit, dude. Yeah. They're doing really good.
Yeah. So I think, in general, I think that it has less to do with the Delibirds, and it just has to do more with these top teams particularly the one loss teams and how good they are.
Yeah. So, and I kind of want to cluster 5 through 7 together.
Do it.
I'll just go to the number 5 spot right here. We got the Mats. They took their first loss, dropping down from number 1 to number 5. The Mats at 5, Potatoes at 6, and Doesn't Click at 7. You could make a case for shuffling these around any way you wanted, and it does feel weird that Doesn't Click is down here at 7 when the two teams that they beat are above them.
Yeah.
It's just that all of these teams have been doing so well, and I feel that the Mats and Potatoes have been playing well more consistently than Doesn't Click.
Yeah.
And Doesn't Click's been taking good wins. They've had their strength of schedule is really good so far. They played the Mats, they played the Potatoes, they played Team Pussy. That's crazy. And they've only lost against Team Pussy, but that game in particular was the one where they kind of faltered, I think. And the Mats and Potatoes haven't really had a game like that, even though they've taken losses.
Yeah, I think it's key to say that if you take 5 through 7, even the seniors, man, they've looked pretty good up until this point. That if you were to give me any of those in a particular order, I feel that you can make a good case for it. You just shuffle them around. However, I think you can make a good case for it. So, while we did put the Mats up in the top 5, because we like their team a lot, and it's just kind of keeping more consistent on how we've been judging stuff more than anything. If you're gonna hop in my DMs tomorrow and go, you 5 through 8 should be this, I'm gonna just go, yeah, you're
fair enough, man.
Fair enough, dude. Like, I get it,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fight you too hard on it, but just how we've been grading things and the criteria that we've been using, we feel that this is more or less the order.
Yeah, and I mean the Mats, I think we just put the Mats at the top out of these 3, partially because they were at the top previously, so we didn't want them to fall too much. Potatoes we felt were good for the next slot because they did take a win this week, and putting them down at 7 would mean they stay where they are, even though I think they did well, especially in the early game. And in prep too. It was just I like that game from them. Honestly, I've liked all the Potatoes games. Like I think this is Alyssa's strongest showing yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mean Doesn't Click. They still got to move up after taking a win, a hard fought win. Honestly, good play, good prep. I liked what I saw from them too. So
good Ryan and Fiona game right there.
Yeah. God, that Scarfall Corona just saved. It was so clearly, at least the struggle bug tech was so clearly for the stupid Reggie, and it worked
perfectly.
Yeah, it was nice. So that's going to be our 5 through 7. Number 4,
the Cheek Drillers.
You're not number 1, Brian.
Nope, we hate you too much. We were going to put you down at number 10. Honestly, really good showing from the Cheek Drillers so far. We were going to talk about it a little bit with the teams that are coming up here. It more has to do with their strength of schedule than anything else. They have had good, solid wins, even against us. They were able to... Our prep just didn't account for some of the stuff that they were trying to do. And then they were able to not let us get into a position until the very, very end. And that requires like a lot of good play from them. We talked to Hector this weekend a little bit, and we were just... like gushing to all 3 of us together. We're just like, dude, that game was so good. I had such a great time playing that game. It was a really good game. And then good win against the Patrats, even better win against the Mudkips this week. They've done some good things, but having only one team that has a win on your record is going to hurt you in your strength of schedule. And I'll go ahead and say this. Brian, the person who you see in here in this chat as Valley VVS, he, in our little group chat, has nonstop been talking crap to me and Matt about how bad we are. All right? And now when he's like, hey, actually, you got to give the Mudkips and the Burnouts credit because they're actually decent teams. Like, no. You don't get to shit on us for all this whole time. And then now, because we're on your strength of schedule, you want us to bump you up because we're better than you thought. Nah, that's not going to fly. You have gone against one team that has one win, and it's the Patrats. almost would have been no teams with a win. So give you credit. You guys are doing great. We're really excited to see what you guys are going to be able to do. This isn't going to be the high point of your guys' career by a long, or by in this season by a long shot. I don't think. You guys have shown good prep, a solid draft in general that can have a decent amount of versatility, and your play has been spectacular. So those things I think are going to warrant you guys to be one of the top teams in the league coming up, because your guys' draft is just so complete. And I think that the Drillers just in general are going to be a team that people have to watch out for. So yeah, just something that, you know, needed to be said. I think that this is going to be it's tough for these next couple 3-0 teams, because like some of them haven't really gone against anybody. Like it is what it is, and
which is it's fair to say for this next one as well. We got the Regigeezers up here, clocking at number 3. They're in. I don't want to rehash too much of the same stuff that you just said about the Drillers, because they're in some of the. They're kind of in the same position. They've mostly just been playing bottom tier teams, but they have taken wins against all of them. Really, the main reason that they're up here at 3 instead of the Drillers being at 3, part of it is because we had
their opponents have a combined 2 wins,
right? Which is maybe not super significant, but. Last week they were ahead of the Drillers by 1 point. We got we had a couple of specific reasons, some minor reasons why we kept them up ahead. But they were ahead already. You can go back to the video from last week if you want a refresher on that. But they were ahead already, and we also like their transactions more than we like the Drillers. Drillers still did good. I don't super agree with the Pikachu. I've already kind of said what I would prefer to see in that slot. Fungus is still really good. I just think the Vikavolt and especially the Salamence here are even better. So this is kind of an example of transactions being taken into account to determine placing, and it helped the Geezers stay above the Drillers in this situation.
Yeah, I don't think there's much left to say that we haven't already said about just these two teams in general.
Not really. Solid win this week. 3-0. You guys moved up from 5 to 3. Good shit.
Yeah.
And then there's whatever the fuck this thing is.
The best logo in the league now. You know why? Because...
Why did I put it here?
Hold on. First off, let me go ahead and just say. The fact that the Wailords have caught on and have already started making fun of you instantly makes them a top-tier team in the league. They caught on quick and then incorporated it into their logo.
Well, I mean, they forced me to put this goddamn Wailord here again.
Also, so. I love how badly cropped it is, too.
I know!
That just, like, makes it so much better. That we got, like, half the Nihilego in there, too. And then you can see, like, the top half of the slideshow that we got going on here. Grade A work. Grade A work.
There was a moment where I considered cropping it myself, and then I was no, I can't do that. Like, this... I have to leave it as is. It is... I wouldn't say it's perfect the way it is, but it has character.
Anyway, back to their team entirely.
Oh, that's a clean logo. Is it, Sierra? Okay.
I think that they've played fantastic these last few weeks. Consistently shifting. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just want to point this out. If you look at the quotation marks, the first one next to the I think is the same font size as the Wet n Wild Wailords is, whereas the other one is small.
It's one of those things, like, the longer you look at it, the more things you find.
Yeah.
But their play, honestly, has just been really, really solid these last few weeks. Just in general, being able to execute the game plans that they want. Whenever teams are able to execute game plans on them, they're able to adjust out of it. We saw that against their first game against the rural Jurors. They were able to kind of mitigate some of the damage a little bit, come out of the trick room, and then kind of start putting back damage on top of that. So I think in general, I think that they're their style of play has really benefited them with this like bulkier, slower team. They have been able to lead Trick Room a decent amount of time. I think only last week they weren't able to get it up, but I do in general like a lot of the things that they've done, particularly with the first 5 Pokemon that they had here. And then obviously with the Flygon too. The Flygon has been a really, really underrated member of their team.
Flygon, that thing rolled over the Raiders this week.
Yeah, and it's honestly been able to do... is this the first time that they brought it?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I think they brought it every week.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, cool.
Yeah, the first week it came out and the Dragalge switched into its Earthquake.
Oh yeah. No, they've done really well with it. Honestly, it's done some good stuff. It's just sorry. So many of these games kind of start to meld together.
Oh yeah, especially. I mean, we're even dealing with more games per week than we did last season.
Yeah,
dude, it's a lot.
So I'm like, did they only do anything with this Flygon? No, I could have sworn I seen it out before.
Yeah,
but no, they've done
the Porygons as well, cleaned up against the Porygons.
Yeah. It's been one of their better Pokemon, and the base 100 speed, they're utilizing it really well too, because they're waiting for some of the faster things to kind of get taken off the board before it comes in and does what it needs to do.
Or they just Dragon Dance.
And make themselves faster than it. So, yeah, I definitely like the way that they're going right now. I would like to see redirection, but honestly, these next 2 teams don't even have redirection, so who cares?
Yeah, I mean, going into this season with all these Crown Tundramons, I was actually kind of thinking maybe redirection's not as important as it used to be, especially because we're seeing redirection drop off in VGC.
Yeah,
it might not be as important with all these big legendaries that can take hits a little bit better than the offensive threats we saw earlier in VGC 2020. So,
yeah, who knows? It could be a little bit of a change in the meta. Obviously, we have the Mats who we feel are still one of the more powerful teams. They have Indeedee, but Indeedee is just such a good Pokemon in general. Right. Still has seen usage in some of these other formats too. So
yeah, I mean we're not saying redirection. Maybe it's bad now, but it's like maybe it's not as necessary as it used to be.
Definitely. Yeah. Anything else on the Wailords here?
No, I think we're good. Good stuff from the Wailords. They're 3-0. Fuck that logo. And and moving on to number 1. Kind of feels like Team Pussy's back. Like, dude, last season, look, they had a really rough start. They were returning champions last season, and they went 0-4 the first 4 weeks. That was fucking rough. And it's not an indication of how good they are as a team. They won a season, and I think they're kind of back now.
And Yue and Sebi are world's caliber players.
Yeah.
They're I mean, I played Yue a couple times in regionals.
Oh, really?
Events, yeah.
Okay.
And I think in Portland, and then I think a long time ago in Salt Lake in 2018. I can't remember though. But I know I played him recently in Portland. That's the most recent time that I played him. And I mean, they're fantastic players. I
didn't even know he was there.
Yeah. Because we have the GS Cup. So
yeah.
They're good players. They've shown that they know how to prep. They've shown that they know.
With that logo you made, I'm happy to wait 2 hours just so you can hear me shit on it. I'm happy to do that.
But yeah, Team Pussy, I feel that they're back now. They have a lot of versatility. The Cinderace has actually been the Pokemon they don't seem to like to Dynamax. I think the Celesteela has been the Dynamax.
Have they maxed the Cinderace? Because they maxed Celesteela once. They maxed Hatterene once against the Mudkips. What did they max? Oh, they maxed Celesteela twice.
They maxed Celesteela twice. Yeah, I was just going to say. I definitely think that their amount of versatility that they have in those 2 S tier picks is helping them out a lot, because they're not feeling pigeonholed to bring the Cinderace G-Max every time. They feel comfortable having it like as a in the back sweeper kind of thing. And then these comfort picks, man. They know what these picks do. I think that is so underrated in like this league, which like, by the way, we're saying this sitting at 0-2, and we have a bunch of comfort picks too. But
we also have not brought Clefable yet.
Yeah. Shh. But I think what you see here is that they're so used to knowing what these Pokemon can do, and they're so accustomed to like being able to get get certain strategies around these particular set of Pokemon, particularly the Gengar. We see Gengar being led a lot. Yeah. We see Diggers be a lot. Hatterene is like, obviously it never really gets led, but it's always like, cool, something went down, bring in Hatterene so we can set Trick Room up.
Yeah.
You know? So I think just in general, like this little group of comfort picks that they have in support Pokemon has really allowed their S tiers to just shine, and man, have they been doing great. Celesteela, they're proving that it probably should have been picked up a lot earlier, honestly, because it
could be
it is carrying them like a lot, and not in a bad way, not like saying like that the rest of their team isn't doing anything, but man, they're putting that Celesteela into some really good positions, and they're just allowing it to go ham. So
yeah, I mean, when we were making our list of S tiers to prioritize, our list was basically Mew, Tapu Fini, Togekiss, and then if we had, we were number 3, so that's as far as we needed to go. But you know, ranking just a little bit lower than that were stuff like last year probably would have came in at 4th.
Metagross too.
Yeah, Metagross was pretty high up there, and Celesteela was too. Celesteela, I think should have been. I don't remember exactly what their draft position was. I guess we can check, but yeah, I think Celesteela Celesteela should have been gone a lot earlier. Yeah, Discord's fucking up, so I guess we can't really. Yeah, whatever. I don't want to waste time on that. But yeah, they were toward the middle.
Bring the chat back up too, just in case we're starting to lag, because it looks like we're.
Yeah, I mean the speed looks okay, but yeah, a little red box is weird. Yeah, nobody said anything.
Could be because we're disconnected.
Why would you say that? All right, so Team Pussy. I mean, they're 3-0 right now. I mean, I don't want to put too much stock in that because, like, you know, three wins in the first 3 weeks doesn't just mean you're going to dominate the season. Just like 4 losses in the first 4 weeks, which they happened to them last season, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad team or that you're down for the count. I mean, so
they picked 12, by the way.
Okay. So yeah, I'm a little bit surprised Celesteela didn't go earlier, but not super surprised, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to put too much stock in the 3-0, but it's okay. It seems like there's more of a lag than OBS is telling us, but like, whatever, that's fine. This could very well be an indication that Team Pussy is back.
Yeah.
Which we kind of been waiting for, because people were sleeping on them after they took all those losses at the beginning of last season. Even in the pick'ems, like earlier this season, like, fuck, man, people were really voting against them. And
not no more.
Yeah, not anymore. So
they're the Team Pussy that we've been scared of for the last few seasons that we've been in the draft, because as Team Cock Noodle Soup, I believe they kicked our butt with Yue and Jean-Marc.
No, we beat them.
Did we? Oh, that was the game that we needed to get into playoffs.
That was our winning in game,
Yeah, but you know, they were still a terrifying team then, and I think they even had the first seed. They might not even cared that much. But Team Cock Noodle Soup in the beginning, and then now it's not Jean-Marc and Yue anymore. It's
Jean-Marc and Sebi were
Jean-Marc and Sebi.
They were Team Iron Ball. Yeah.
And then who was? Oh, Yue was Daveron's partner.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us know that we're coming through okay, though. Yeah, that's fucking appreciate it, guys. Except for Brian. Fuck you, Brian. All right. Okay, so here we have our Week 3 power rankings at a glance. We got the Dark Web Porygons rounding out the bottom of number 18. Mudkips at 17s. Pixies coming in at 16. New England Patrats picking up their first win, bumping up 3 spots to 15. Rainbow Raiders taking another loss this week, moving down to 14. Ally Switch Spammers did take a loss, but they're staying at 13 because just didn't feel right putting them below any of these other teams. Bulu's on a bye week. Again, kind of weird they raised up. Not really because of anything they did, but because of the teams below them. Jurors took a tough but close loss this week, dropped 1 point. Us, again, like the Bulus, we're going up 2 points just because of the teams below us, even though we had a bye week. Again, kind of weird. Number 9, the Delibirds, they did take a good win. We just couldn't justify moving them up because of all the good teams above them.
Nothing to do with the Delibirds.
Yeah, they're like we said this like 2 or 3 times already. They're better than we expected them to be.
We want to clarify that because we have no problem admitting when we're wrong. We did that with the Sky Pillars last season. We were
did we ever?
We were so thrilled to see them do well. We had them ranked.
I think we put them at like
low,
we had them
10
like
or 9 out of 12.
12 out. No, I think it was like 12 out of 14.
Yeah,
we had them.
Yeah. And
at the beginning anyway.
They made finals, and the second that they started putting together wins, we acknowledged it. So
yeah.
And
then we got the Sadistic Seniors, unfortunately dropping all the way down to 8 just because of the teams that are above them. Doesn't Click taking a win, moving up 1 spot to 7. Po-Tay-Toes also taking a win, moving up 1 spot to 6. The Mats, our previous number 1 team, taking their first loss, moving down from number 1 to number 5. And then our top 4 is all of our undefeated teams so far. We've got the SoCal Cheek Drillers coming in at 4. The Regigeezers barely above them at number 3. Wet and Wild Wailords at number 2. And then Team Pussy is our top team for week 3. Pick'ems. Been going for like over 2 hours.
Whatever.
Just have Pick'ems left.
Burnouts over the Porygons. Look, we pick ourselves every week. Like I said, we could be going against Wolf and Marcus.
Well, hold on.
Let me championship team, and we would pick ourselves either way.
I'm not sure I agree with that, but let me ask you a question. Let's say we take a bunch of losses the next few weeks. We're like 0-6 or something, and then we're going up against one of the top teams. Do you still pick us?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. At least you're consistent. Next
Why
up,
pretend that we're not biased in this situation?
Next up, we've got the Darn Heckin Delibirds versus the Rainbow Raiders. I think this one really just comes down to how these teams have been playing. The Delibirds, again, like we said, they're a lot better than we thought they would be. They've impressed us with their play. They've impressed us with making their draft work better than we thought it would work. And the Raiders have kind of faltered these last couple of weeks. Haven't really been playing very well. Both these like they had a good first week, but then in week 2 and 3, I've just been noticing some pretty serious errors here and there in their play. So with the momentum that both these teams have and what the Delibirds have been able to show us, I think we're definitely gonna go with the Delibirds here.
Austin just posted an old playoff match. Austin only posts games that we lose. That's it. He posted the Jubilife one. I think he goes and is like, the Burnouts lose this one? Yeah. We've lost like a few games, and almost all of them that we've lost have been recorded.
Also, real quick before we move on, just noticed Archery VGC in the chat. That's my buddy Hunter from the other league that I'm playing in. Just want to give a shout out to Hunter. How you doing, man?
Hello, Hunter. How are you doing? Sorry that you're in a fake league with Matt. Sorry, that's an inside joke. Let's see, where were we at? Wet and Wild Wailords versus Potatoes. This is gonna be a good one. We were not completely sure about this one.
If the Wailords win, we won't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we just feel that on paper, the Potatoes have a little bit better of a matchup here. We really like their core. Obviously, Henry and Alyssa, really good players, just like Joe and Sierra. So it's kind of a wash.
Henry's also
there.
back this week.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Honestly, this is going to be. Potatoes have had a couple of good wins here.
They've been doing great, dude.
This is going to be their biggest test, I feel. But I do think that they have the tools to do it. I think that they have a good just matchup in general. Senta Scorch going to beat Lego?
Yes. Max Special Bulk Assault Vest Senta Scorch to live probably nothing. You think that leaves? Do you
have a chance to live a +1 Max Rockfall after the?
Okay, well, no, that's not going to happen. Maybe that lives just a straight power gem. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, I think I'm wondering how. I think the Metagross is going to give him some trouble.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because of the Metagross, I don't really see Hale making an appearance here.
Hold on. Austin put a victory that we had up.
Oh, God, that was such a good game. Mostly just because of how salty Tapu Wooloo got because we brought Iron Ball Aromatisse to underspeed stack.
I mean, they were a hard trick room team.
Yeah.
Thank you, Austin, for doing that.
Finally,
I take back anything that I ever said about your team, or anything that may have ever been taken in any wrong way. Even if I take everything back. You're the best.
I don't. Moving on to the Mudkips and the Sea. Again, kind of like the Delibirds and Raiders, just comes down to how these two teams have been playing. We've been much more impressed with the seniors' play. I mean, if the Mudkips decide that this is the week to pick it up, they totally can win. This is not just an easy, seniors win, that's it. I mean, again, we have to emphasize the Mudkips, when they were the Sky Pillars last season, they made it to finals. They dominated their division. It's...
Suicune the GOAT. Best Pokemon ever.
We're not in Gen 7 anymore.
Best Pokemon ever in Suicune. There's no other better Pokemon.
But yeah, we do think the seniors' threats are gonna take over the Mudkips this coming week.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game, honestly. I just feel the seniors are gonna want to bounce back, but I mean, honestly, the Mudkips need to bounce back too. It's gonna be good, man.
Yeah,
and you're right. If this is the week for the Mudkips, then they can definitely do it. Next, we have the Mats versus the Patrats. Matt's looking to bounce back after a game. This one was a little bit more just kind of picking and choosing here. We think that the Patriots, while they made some good transactions that will definitely help them out, they're going to get some juggernaut in the Mats. And not only that, but the Mats are coming off of a loss. They're not going to want to lose 2 in a row. So yeah, I definitely do think the Mats, not much more to say on that. I think that because of that, just the massive difference between the teams right now, the Mats just pulled this out.
Yeah, I think so. It just comes down to one of our favorite top tier teams against one of the bottom tier teams who was actually in last place last time. And if they had lost their week 3 game, they would still be 18.
Who has the Spammers played so far?
They played the seniors and Team Pussy.
And then now doesn't click.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule for the Spammers these first few weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody's surprised to see us picking Doesn't Click here, but the Spammers, they were the Toronto Talonflames last season. They have said they want to come back and beat Doesn't Click, beat Doesn't Click again, because they actually took them out in top 8. I forgot about that. So
and what seemed like Doesn't Click's year.
Yeah. Perhaps, I mean, turned out to be ours. But yeah, they want to take another run at Doesn't Click for sure. And I don't remember if they actually get to play the Mudkips, but they definitely wanted to take another run at them as well. But unfortunately, they're in separate divisions. So
it's not loading up.
Yeah, that's kind of strange. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's the Spammers are 0-2 right now. Doesn't Click is 2-1, and I think let's go down to last week. They are playing the Mudkips the last week.
Dang,
all right,
so they get both their cross division matches were their playoff matches. That's kind of rough, honestly.
I mean, I think that's what they wanted. So. Yeah, good on them for hoping for those tough matchups, because they want to they want to come back. But they beat Doesn't Click once. They could do it again.
Yep.
Doesn't Click they're clearly the favorite here.
Also, I don't know if Fiona's completely over that yet. I would not want to cross a scorned Fiona. So I think Fiona's going to be bringing it this week. Ryan's probably like, it's all right. They prep really well. But I bet you feel like, nah, they're done.
Probably.
So yeah, I think the Doesn't Click is going to have to go against Team Pussy this week. It's going to be a good one too. But if they can pull off a win, this might be it.
That would be huge for them. Mm-hmm. I've been talking to them. They're hungry for a win. They're my guys from the other league I'm playing in. I've been talking to them quite a bit. They're hungry for a win, and this is, Team Pussy's not fucking around ever, especially now. They're a top team right now. It's would be incredibly hard not to pick Team Pussy as the favorite here. I think that's I think we all get that, right?
Jurors versus the Pixies, a better matchup here. They're both kind of struggling right now team wise, but we think the Jurors just have a better team, more offense, even though we haven't really seen that too much, but they have Pokemon that can actually do more things. The Pixies do have a couple of nice additions now with the Lucario and the Mudsdale, so they're able to protect some of their things that they like a little bit more. But Victini's still around.
Yeah, it is.
So, gonna be a little rough for him. Gonna be a little rough, especially when you can't count on Heatwave missing.
Right, that's true. Well, there's a 1% chance.
Oh, okay, yeah. So maybe you can count on Heatwave missing.
Yes, indeed. And then our buys this week are going to be the SoCal Cheek Drillers for Sword Division and the Regigeezers for Shield Division.
Well deserved.
Yes.
Both 3-0 teams.
Yep.
Get your rest, guys. Get your rest.
So, next week we're probably not going to see much movement in the top 5.
No.
I'd expect both of them to, at least both of these teams, to stay where they are.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. But we'll see. If some crazy shit happens, maybe we got to move them up or down.
Yep. We done?
I believe so. Yep, we are done. There was 2, I guess, minor announcements. Again, we're going to be doing a postseason awards show. So if you have any ideas for awards that we might want to give out, the doc will be open for the majority of the season. It's pinned in general chat.
Despite what Jared says, because Jared didn't send us the finalized list of the nominees or anything like that. He put this time, or what is it, this deadline on it, but then didn't give us anything after the deadline. Like, cool, deadline passed. Where's the stuff at? Never saw it, so I guess it's still open, guys.
There, as of right now, there's no deadline. So keep I think it's important to say, like, as the season progresses and as you guys are watching more of these games, if you see something that's like, oh man, that was really crazy or that was really awesome, I think somebody should get an award for that. Go ahead and put that award on the doc. I would encourage you to even leave your name next to it so we can give you credit for coming up with that idea for the award. Maybe also, if you want to leave a suggestion for who you think could win that award, toss that up there too. Just make sure things are organized. I don't want it to be too sloppy. But the doc is still there. It's pinned in general. Give us your ideas if you have any more over the coming weeks. And the second announcement, we are still looking to maybe practice some live commentary on some of these games. We made an attempt to commentate over the Delibirds and Porygons. Yeah, this last week didn't work out. It's a little bit difficult for us to do that when these games are being played on weekends because we are also preparing for this stream. There's a lot of work that goes into these streams, especially on Sundays. So if you have a good game, I mean, even if you're playing on the weekend and you have a good game you want us to try commentating over, still send it over. Like, we'll try. There's just no guarantees. We're more likely to be able to do that if you play your game earlier in the week, though.
Yeah,
that's important to note. So
yeah, because we usually play our games on the weekends, and our weekends consist a lot of prepping for our match, and then on Sunday we try and watch, compile, and come up with this slideshow here. So yeah, we can do it like on Friday or Thursday. That'd be nice too.
Yeah, so, ideally before Friday, because Friday is often the day that we prep.
Sure.
So yeah.
Earlier
I know,
in the week, the better.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit weird because most people play their games on weekends like we do. We'll still give it a shot, even if your game is a weekend game, but it's better if it's earlier in the week. So no guarantees either way, though. But we would like to try that. In any case, that should do it from us. You have any final thoughts?
No, not really. I mean, this has been a pretty crazy season. I think it's nice. We're 3 games into the season so far, or 3 weeks, I should say, because not all the teams have played. But I think we're starting to see a little bit of a trend with some of these top teams here. A couple of these bottom teams, I feel that they're not as bad as maybe the ranking says so. It's just we got to kind of put them there. It's tough to kind of do these things, and it's impossible to do it and not make somebody last.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Somebody's got to be down there.
Yeah, but I think that's mainly the main thing is if you're at the bottom, we're at the bottom right now. We understand. Just keep prepping, keep making sure that you're building properly, and you'll come out with wins, man. You just will. So.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for all the feedback in the chat. We really appreciate it, and sticking with us.
having a lively chat this time has been so much cooler.
Yeah, I can't wait. I hope we're gonna try and do these at around 6 o'clock. We didn't have to because I literally like walked through the door like at 5:58, so it was a little bit tough. But yeah, we love having all you guys in here. It's fantastic. So
Also, Zach said he's going to be streaming his game this week. We're about to end right now, so you don't need to put it in. Let us know in the server what day you're doing that, because if it's early enough, we might
live stream.
Yeah, I mean, I think we would probably just take the Twitch VOD and live stream ourselves, commentating over that. But yeah, I mean, if that's early enough, let us know in the Discord server what day you're playing that, because if it's early, we might be able to do that. So anyway, that's gonna do it from us. Everybody, good luck going into week 4. We will see you guys for the stream next week.